All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Velox 18 Live. We're live and in full effect. We got a few people in here already. Fate Trucking coming in with his usual boom. Jerome Jones, number one in the house. What's up, Big Money? Yeah. Number two, Mac and Cheese beat you to it. That's right. That's right. Jessica Jenkins said, but have you ever played cribbage? That's beside the point. That's beside the point. The fact is that this will be funner than cribbage. I don't care how fun cribbage is. This is going to be even better. It's going to be way better. Yo soy Señor Coach. What's going on? Saludos. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for stopping in. Brad Stafford, thank you for becoming a member. You guys can do that if you click the little money sign icon down in the chat box. You can become a member there or send super chats, which are always welcome. Timothy, what's going on? Rogue Knight is in the house. Let's see. Jerome Jones. Yeah, Fate Trucking beat you. That's the way it is. CJ, howdy, howdy, hey, hey. And lay no, I clicked on it right at the right time. What happened was I was gonna go live and then I saw another YouTuber, Will Burner Express, was live, so I didn't want to step on his toes. So I made it as late as I possibly could to give him as much time, uh, you know, for both of our sakes, so we're not just stealing people from each other the whole time. But at the same time, try not to. I just try not to. I try to be respectful of people as much as I can. Try to be respectful of other people when they're live and try not to step on them because you know I I appreciate it when people give me, especially with the long lives I do. It's like I don't expect it, but it's always cool when people are you know nice like that. So with both feet, miscreants, what's up? Henry, que pasa? Ryan Takashita, what's going on? I brought my long sleeve Honolulu Fire shirt. It's packed in my bag. It's supposed to be cold tomorrow and the next day, so I got my long sleeve shirt ready. So I'll be representing here in one of the next few videos, probably Saturday's video. It'll be Honolulu Fire. That's what I'm guessing anyway. Right now, right now. Trucking with KB Specialized in the house. Haboonster reporting in Velox week 2 in CDL school video posted. You guys go check out Haboonster's channel. He's going through CDL school, getting his uh, commercial license, his Class A, and well, it wasn't that long ago for me, like a short 7.5 years ago, but I still remember it pretty vividly. It's an exciting time. Exciting time. Corey Deal, Deal, Dale, Deal. I'm gonna say Deal. What's up? How's everything going? It's going good, man. It's going good. Saludos from Modesto, Motown checking in. Zachary Simas from NorCal. We got some NorCal people checking in. Edward, what's going on, Mr. Edward? What's going on? Thank you for all your comments. Again, I appreciate the comments on the videos. I know I don't give them hearts and do all that stuff, but I read most of the comments that I get. Most of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. Here's another California. We got Fresno delivering at Best Buy right now. Nice, youngster 9X. I like it. Juan Lucio, does the wife have you on a diet? You look skinnier, bro. Eat some tortas. I have myself on a little diet. Yeah, we're trying to slim down and just be healthier. So I, I I've been kind of you know hit and miss with it, but um, I'm trying to yeah trying to. What's up? What's up? Let's see, Mr. Nice Guy. Hey, I finally made it to alive. I'm working on building my first rig, 85 Ford LTL 9000. Your channel made me want to drive truck. So you are just starting trucking, but you're building a truck from like an old school truck. That's you must be like a mechanic that's turning into a truck driver. You weren't like me where you were just like some random, you didn't have any experience doing mechanical stuff. um, Youngster 9X, do I miss running I-5 and 99? Not after I heard that one of those big uh, beams flipped over on the what do they call it, on the I almost said the Altamont, but it's not the Altamont, the Grapevine, and blocked the Grapevine yesterday. Um, it's yeah, I don't know. I don't really miss it. No. Michael, it seems like other people can hear me. I don't know if you I don't know if it seems like everyone else can hear me, I think, right? Right? All right, Fate's in the house. What's going on, Fate?
What's going on, man? How are you tonight?
I'm having fun. I finished early and I'm just kind of trying to go live without um
Any
yeah, trying to
problems?
yeah, trying to see if the internet. Hold on, I got to answer this text from my daughter. It's kind of kind of cute, so I'm going to just do that. What are you doing tonight,
That's
Fate?
kind of funny. I'm in my daughter's old bedroom. I have a daughter that's off at college right now, and everybody else is doing stuff in the house, like where my work desk is and my little office area. Somebody's down there. Other people are playing video games, so I thought I'd come and hang out with my daughter's old bedroom tonight. you know,
Nice.
little sentimental value, I guess.
I I know what that's like. We both our kids are the same age, so
Yeah.
Miles being at college is a little bit of I don't know. There's days where it's like just cool and it's not even a big deal that he's gone, and then there's some days where I'm just like I miss him.
Dude, so what's funny is we were talking a little bit earlier today, and I was out running getting food for my family, right? Well, in the process of going to pick up the food, my daughter called me. And, it's that phone call. Hey, dad, I'm thinking about you. I love you. How are things going? It's like, man, I miss having her. Not that I'm around all the time, but I miss having her here when I am here. You know what I mean?
Yep. I think that's for us as truckers. Like it's like we don't we weren't home all the time to get that, but when we were home, we got it like in full
Yeah.
measure. And now it's like, yeah, it doesn't feel the same.
Well, I think I
Um,
shared. I think I shared with you. My daughter was a very good softball player for being from the Northland. I live in Minnesota, so we traveled all around the country, especially in the winter time, to play elite softball programs. So I spent a lot of time like hanging out with my daughter. You know what I mean? In different states, going to different places. We had a really good relationship, and now it's like as much as I want her to spread her wings and experience life, it's like, I'm not there to protect her. I know that sounds whatever, but it's the God's honest truth. Like I'm not there to protect my firstborn, which is a
yeah.
very strange feeling.
It's funny. I think the protection part isn't as strong for a boy than it is for a daughter. Um, but at the same time, it is because like I'm a pretty strict parent and I'm a pretty like we're really conservative when it comes to our kids, the internet, being able to spend the night at friends' houses. Like we're very conservative when it comes to that stuff. So like our kids are very sheltered, but we also try to have like pretty gnarly conversations with them so that they're not completely sheltered, but the information they get, um, hopefully we can help them like parse through the stuff that people are talking about at school and you know all the crap that kids end up talking about
Yeah.
when they're kids. And so not being able to have that voice is a little bit, I think, hard for me. Um, and
But
not knowing if he's heeding, like if he's hearing what I'm saying, because I'm just talking to him on the phone and stuff, and I'm like, but do you get it? Are you understanding what I'm saying?
right. I
So
feel you, bro. You know that. I mean, hopefully we've done our job. That's all we can at this point in their lives. Hopefully we've done our job. The
yeah.
reality is if we didn't, like, they'll come back to us and want more wisdom and knowledge, even though we're the parents. They'll want that. I experience that with my 18-year-old daughter all the time.
And they'll be sleeping in our basements for like
You know,
a decade, whatever.
good for
Uh,
your
Ty
comment.
Tyler Heath said, every time you go somewhere, I swear I just left. Yeah, that's there's been a few comments where people are like, hey, I was just there. Glitter Daddy's daddy. What's going on? The glitter granddaddy, I call him. Let's see. All right, North Carolina. Um, Joshua Dabbs, your butthole is cribbage. That is hilarious. I mentioned that in one of my old videos, ways to stay awake at night. And I told this guy that I told him, like I just would do that dumb thing from Napoleon Dynamite where Kip says, "Your mom goes to college" in the background. Okay, so I would just say your mom, whatever, like whatever someone said, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Chevron and pick up a load," and I'd be like, "Your mom's gonna go to Chevron," and just say dumb stuff. It didn't. It did the more the less it made sense, the funnier I thought it was.
Right.
And then I had a friend tell me he didn't get in my face, but he like changed his tone and he's like, "Hey, listen, dude, in my culture, we don't talk about people's moms like that. Like that's like you're in line for a butt whooping." I was like, "But clearly, I'm just joking. Like that wasn't derogatory. That there was no part of that is like a mean or hurtful or hateful thing to say." And he was like, "Yeah, but we just don't do it." I was like, "All right, from now on, just for you, when I want to say a mom joke, I'm just going to replace mom with butthole." And so for the rest of the time, then it just became, instead of your mom jokes, it became your butthole jokes. And so Joshua was in there on those, and he just made he just made a butthole joke about cribbage, and it was funny. it it's still funny. Just like poop jokes are still funny. I can't help myself. If you're gonna make a
Well,
good poop joke, I'm for it.
to be clear, my wife just whooped my butt in cribbage.
Yeah,
So
so it wasn't very fun, was it? So this
no.
is way funner than cribbage. And I know
Yep.
funner is not a word. I just like to say it. Let's see. Edward Williams saying howdy to Mr. Fate.
Hello.
Hello. Like I guess you need to ask him a more detailed question, Edward, to get more out of him. CJ Hudson, how the truck sale going and any teaser on the future truck? CJ, I am not going to tease anything until I know something. And as far as the truck sale goes, I've had a bunch of people interested and like little nibbles, and they're like getting the VIN number so they can try and get financing. But I haven't had anyone. I've had one offer from a dealership, but it was $60,000 less than what I was asking for, and so I was just like, yeah, no thanks. I'll just hold out. You know, um, maybe I priced it a little aggressively, but hey, uh, I'm a famous YouTuber, right? So it's stupid, stupid. All right. Charlie Mike said, "What it do, bud? I just left the ports of Long Beach, Compton, and Long Beach together. Man, you know we was trouble." All right. Fate. What's the last video you did on your channel? Was it the multi-drop load and then you cut it short? Do
Yeah.
you have
So
the last deliveries ready in
yeah,
a video?
not that I can drop right now. I
Gotcha.
started editing everything and then gave up on it and thought, oh, I got nothing but time, and time has like quickly vanished from me. So yeah, I have that. I have the finalized like 4 drops. I'll post that video tomorrow of the LTL stuff.
Okay, cool. How
Yeah.
long is that one? Is it a good chunky one like the previous
No,
one?
no, I think it's a little bit less than the one that it was. So the first one was what, like 18 minutes, I think. I think this one's like 12 or 13.
The longer the better. That's
I
that's
know, it's just man, I can't do it. Like I cut out a lot of stuff. Like how many times can I show myself, backing my trailer up or sliding the tandems? How many times do people really want to see me? Do you want to see it all 9 times? Like, you know,
well, I think that um talking through what you're doing and explaining yourself, and then even like what I'll do sometimes is just something that's on my mind. I'll just end up talking about it, and then I decide if I want to keep it in the video or not. Sometimes I have to chop a lot out of my videos because I talk way too much. But I like to bring up like real life topics and stuff too. And I feel like you're someone that has that same like you're a smart and like reasonable person. So when you think about things, you think about them in a smart and reasonable way. So then if you just communicate how you process, you know, information, even like talking about your daughter and stuff going to college, like that stuff is valuable to people because not everyone kind of has the ability to um like work through their emotions and their their lives and like put words to it. So if you can put words to it, they can kind of hear your words and then it helps them kind of process like, oh yeah, that's kind of what I'm dealing with, or that's how I think about that, or whatever. So
Yeah, no, it's I kind of want to bring I mean, I love doing the vlog stuff. The reality is it's a very big pond and a lot of fish in that pond that are doing that style of YouTube or whatever. Where I like to interact with people. I like to talk to people. I like to get people's perspectives on things. Where I would eventually like to get my channel into more of like, whether I'm just talking like as I'm driving, like some of the videos you've put out lately, or kind of like where I'm interviewing people, podcast style. You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff I listen to a lot of times when I'm driving, is that style of YouTube or podcasts, and that's kind of what I want to do. Yeah, and it's not tooting my own horn, but I've been in this industry 23 years. Like I know a thing or two about trucking. Maybe not as much about owner operator because I've only been doing that 2 years. But when it comes to the trucking industry, I've had many jobs in this industry, not just driving. So I think, you know, and I have people like DIY Semi, him, Cash is King. Like I've learned so much from those people that I want to give back or try to. Speak
yep.
of the devil.
Speak of the devil himself.
It's only a matter of time before he starts ripping on me.
Obed said, "What insurance company do you recommend? I'm paying too much." I went with just an insurance broker, and they got me Progressive because I'm still a newer authority. So
So
you're probably using Progressive, but I would shop around to different agencies because some of them can get you a better, like they some of them shop multiple insurance carriers and they can maybe find you a better deal.
brokers are the insurance brokers, even for like your personal car insurance, can usually get you a better deal than you going to the actual like American Family website. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Oh yeah, shop that stuff around. Call a couple of brokers, see what they can offer you.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. There you go. Daniel said some people don't realize what sacrifice you'll have to make to put food on the table. Yep. Yeah, we miss out on some of the stuff, and we don't even think of it as a sacrifice because trucking gives so much back to us, and we're out here enjoying ourselves for the most part, most of the time, and but then there's times like where you realize, crap, my kid's off at college, and I don't know, you feel like you missed. Like I mean, I've only been doing this for a year and a half, doing what I'm doing now. But before that, I was working every night and sleeping and flipping my schedule on the weekends. So I was like home a lot, but I was like a zombie most of the time. So even that, I feel like it wasn't the same as like having a 9 to 5, man. Like I miss the days of the 9 to 5. Miss the days of a 9 to 5.
No,
Anthony Carey, glad you could make it. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say when I was
So
a company driver,
you're gonna realize that I'm gonna have a hard time like doing the back and forth thing because I'm so used to just sucking up all the air in a room. So cut me off anytime you need to talk.
well,
It'll
no,
be it'll make for a much better show.
I know that you're a guy that likes to read through all your comments, and I'm a long talker too. But I would highly suggest if you're a truck driver, owner operator, over the road guy, understand, or girl, it's not just your sacrifice, your family is sacrificing. And
Yeah.
and the best advice that I ever got was don't make it about me, make it kind of about my family, like how much my family sacrifices when I'm out on the road. And the reality is the things I used to want to do when I had the 9 to 5 or was a local guy, I don't really do as much anymore because when my time is at home, it's actually spent with my family. Now, like I'm home a day early than actually like a day and a half earlier than I thought I was going to be. So like my family's already doing like their stuff. So when I show up, I'm like I'm interrupting their plan. You
Yeah.
know, like that's a weird thing to comprehend and like get used to, but
Yeah.
it's facts, you know.
Big facts. Big facts. No, that's my wife. She would tell me when I. It's gotten better lately, probably because I've gotten a little better at it. But she would say that I would come in and just mess up her whole routine because she's so used to running everything by herself, and then I'd come in and I'd just be like, "Hey, what do we want for dinner tonight?" And I'd like come in and try and be dad, and she'd be like, "Well, I already had this plan or that plan, and we were gonna do
Yep.
that or this." And anyway, um, so yeah, that's that. Doug Fisher, hanging with one of my two newborns on the couch, enjoying Fresno weather, still working from home. Life is good. Man, congratulations. Twins. That is, it's a lot, bro. It's a lot. My daughters are 19 months apart, and that's that's close enough to twins right there for me. How close are your kids, Fate, in age?
3.5 years.
Okay.
Um,
You
yeah.
you guys played it right. Let's see. All right. Plays on freeway is in here. What are we drinking to? DYI, semi broker, driver, dispatcher, lumper, yard dog. Um, what did I say that
Oh,
we're
hold
about
on.
tonight?
That's somebody from Cash's.
That's
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 because I went like this. That's because I went as soon as I saw that when you put it on the screen. It's because I touched my goatee.
yep, that's what it is. Now I remember. I was there when he said that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and what Anthony said. That's I agree.
Yeah.
Just truck, just talk, and we'll listen. And that's why I wanted to tell you, like you have something to say, so it's like just say it while you're driving down the road, and maybe that'll snowball into a podcast in the future. But like for now, since I mean, maybe you have the ability to start a podcast now, but um, like for now, you could just do videos while you're driving down the road, talking about trucking, talking about life, talking about whatever, and then when you're stopped at truck stops like I am right now, we're having this little. I mean, this isn't really an interview, but it's alive and it kind of has a podcast feel to it,
Yeah.
a little bit. Although we're interacting almost entirely with the comments. Which how far behind are we? I don't think we're too far behind yet. I think it's not too bad. Let's see. Jessica said I was 35 when I had Gus, and it definitely felt like starting over. Hello from the Jenkins familia. We're 35 or 34. I'm
I'm gonna
I'm
trust
se-
her opinion, or
I'm,
I'm gonna
I'm
no.
second
I'm gonna time out.
second guessing her.
Time out. She's right. You're wrong. It will never happen again, or it will happen again.
Pretty much. Pretty much. This trucking life. What's up? Beast of Logan in the house. Yeah, it's a 2-for-1 coupon night. 2-for-1 coupon. All right. Woods and Bikes said, evening, everyone. I'm here now. Let's get this party started. That's where you're supposed to chime in with the Black Eyed Peas.
I don't know many Black Eyed Peas songs.
Let's get it started, huh? Let's
Oh,
get it
okay.
started in
Yeah,
here.
no,
Come on.
that's not my jam, man.
It's not anyone's jam, and yet everyone knows it. So, you know, Trucking with KB Specialized was talking about the insurance and said find an agent that deals with Great West Casualty. They've been great for me. Depends on how long you've had your authority, who will mess with you. So, but like Fate said, an agency, a broker, is going to have many options to shop you around to different people,
I will
and
say, I will say the insurance company he speaks of is act like is a good company. That's who I have my insurance through. Good
gotcha.
company, very good company.
Let's see. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's click and read, Nick. Click and read.
I know this this trucking life. Well, I'm trying. I'm trying to kind of filter a little bit. Try and keep the conversation moving. I trade everything for a 9 to 5 that I could live comfortably. Yeah. No, if I think we all would at this point. I love driving. I love driving truck, but I would like to do it in a 9 to 5. Do they have banker hours trucking? I'm sure they do. It's like the guys that like retire but they still want a job and they make, 15 bucks an hour to drive around town and, you know, dump rocks and stuff. Those guys got the life.
9 to 5 would be hard for me.
Um I'll be honest, I would love it. I would love it. DIY, I don't know which advice Fate was talking about, but I'm sure you're calling yourself brilliant, but I'm not
Yeah.
exactly sure which part you're
It
taking
was
credit for.
the sacrifice part.
Gotcha.
The family sacrifice, like, how
Yeah.
much the family sacrifices. It was, sorry, DIY. It was his advice.
Yep. Yep. CNS Services says we do what we do for our families, and Woods and Bikes said the facts of the trucking life.
They're not always fun.
Yep. Um, Super Trucker Man Boobs only 3 payments of 1995 said Fate gonna have a video on wheel cover. See any difference?
I did. It just was on its grand voyage. 2,300 2,375 miles, I believe. No, 2,475.
Gotcha. Tommy asked my wife, "How was the soy sauce on the pancakes?" uh, Anthony said, "That's such a good point. I guess I never considered the fact that I kind of come in like a wrecking ball when I get home." Yeah, yeah. Ask your family what it's like, because that's that's kind of what we do. We come in like Miley Cyrus. That's for sure. Corey said, I'm a night local driver. It's hard to get rest and still be a dad. Yep. I did the night thing for 5 years, man, working overnight, flipping the schedule on the weekend so I could go to kids' games and do all that, and then stay up like basically 24 to 27 hours on Sunday to Monday so that I could be with the family and then go to work, and then I'd be really tired on Monday and then go to sleep for Monday night and get right back into it. I don't miss that. I don't miss that. Live stream a little fuzzy. Yeah, that's probably my internet. That's probably my internet. Anytime I'm at a truck stop with the internet, there's too many guys using up the bandwidth around here. So internet gets a little slow. The cell service gets a little slow. Uh so Jessica talking about the soy sauce on the pancake. She said, "Don't you worry about it." a little embarrassed there, Jessica? A little embarrassed? I would be too. Blind as a bat. Um Let's go. Years ago, I worked with a guy who had either two sets of twins or two sets of triplets. Holy cow. Can you imagine? I just, no, I can't. I can't. I'm not man enough for it.
I couldn't do it.
um, Best thing I did was get a 9 to 5 for a dang good company. Gas and electric was a way to go, mostly for the retirement. Yeah, I had a lot of friends that worked for PG&E, and then they started closing stuff down, and they changed over to smart meters, and they did all this stuff to eliminate a lot of guys' jobs. So I felt like I didn't want to go in with zero education and try and get a job with PG&E. Um, but yeah, there we go. CNS Services said Wisconsin in the house. That's where I'm headed tomorrow. Uh,
I'll be
let's
heading on
get it
Monday.
started in her. Yep. Yep. Okay. Trucking with KB Specialized said he's had Great West since he started his new authority. So apparently they do work with new authorities. So I guess find someone that works with Great West, because I believe that's who I had when I was leased on as well, and had good experience with them.
Yeah, Travelers. There's lots of good stuff.
Seven Seas Transport said, just getting in here. Either of you headed to North Carolina again? Are you
Uh,
fate?
not anytime soon.
Yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
have any plans on it, but I don't.
no.
I also don't know where I'm going to be next week, so
I guess
kind of
they are.
depends.
I won't be there. If I go back to North Carolina, it'll be after the Thanksgiving time because I'm already all booked out until Thanksgiving time.
That's crazy. I need to go lease on with your carrier. There you go. Plays on freeway. He said construction trucking. Yeah, but I know you were working overnights on some of those construction jobs you were on too. Plays on freeway.
A lot of travel on
Um,
that though too. I guess it depends where you live. Where I live, all the guys that do road construction leave in the wintertime.
oh yeah, I guess you would need to. Well, Nick Freight said, "I'll trade you. You stay in Cali, watching the grass grow for 3,000, and I'll jump in your truck." And he'll throw in tacos.
Nice.
That's not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. I do like my burritos and my tortas and my quesadillas, and yeah, I like Mexican food a lot. I actually picked up tortillas. That's what's in the trailer right now is frozen tortillas, and it smelled so good in there. It smelled so good. I was like, I was craving Mexican food, but I didn't have a chance to stop and get any. Sterling in the house. What's going on? Uh, is Will Burner still alive? I feel bad for stepping on his toes. I hope he doesn't mind. Hope he doesn't mind. Let's see. Misael, where am I at? Uh, I'm at an undisclosed location in Iowa. Let's see. Woods and Bikes is asking about what's up with selling El Hudson. That's awesome. I like autocorrect, man. I really do. I like autocorrect. El Hudson is we haven't gotten like a legit offer. We got a super low ball offer, and then we've had a bunch of people kicking the tires on it, but no one has pulled the trigger. So I didn't expect it to be super quick, but I also kind of was hoping it would be not super slow either, but looks like it might be um, super slow. David Rager said, hello from home of the Bills. I can
Oh,
only
yeah.
assume you mean Bills Mafia up there in Buffalo. Have you broken any tables recently? That's my question to you. Have you done any WWF moves off the RV onto the table? That's what I want to know. There you go. 7C said we have 5 total with twin girls in the middle.
Oh,
That's crazy. That's crazy, man.
that's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. 7C said, I'm surprised you haven't leased on where Fate is or Cash is by now. Yeah, it's just that I live in Tennessee. Those guys have freight in a lot of places that don't get me home as often as I'd like to get home. And um, so there there may be some options for me, especially if I keep the truck. There's some people giving me good information on some leads for stuff, um, to where I could make enough money where I could still be comfortable keeping the truck and probably get home a little off more often too. But um, yeah, what DIY has going up there, I'm not saying that he's like looking for anyone. I'm just saying if you're looking for a carrier, you might want to go and just knock on his door and just see what's up because he uh he he's doing well. He's doing well.
No comment.
Uh yeah, why would you try to suggest a tow truck driver for me? No. No. Bad juju. uh Doug said First drove tankers for Ruan out there in Turlock. Go to work at 3 p.m. off at 10 a.m. No holidays off. That job sucked for $14.50 an hour back in 06. But yeah, so if you're making $14.50 an hour and you're making $60K a year, you're putting in some hours. Was it straight pay or did they at least pay you overtime? Let's see.
That's tough work, man.
Yep. 7C said, ever consider hooking to a fuel tanker with your truck? Surely there's a fuel terminal near Nashville. Yeah, I mean, I still have my tanker endorsement, and my hazmat endorsement. I have my TWIC card, so I can get into all those facilities and do all that. But yeah, I think I'm just kind of yeah, trying to figure something else out. So that's not my first choice, I guess, is what I would say. You're good, Woods and Bikes. You're good. I'm just giving you a hard time. Just giving you a hard time. Dan, is that do you think you'll ever go through CT? Is that Connecticut?
Connecticut.
That's how little I know about Connecticut that I don't even know the abbreviation for it.
I'll be out there next week.
Well, there you go. I probably won't be, especially now that we're getting into November. I don't know how far north I'll venture, especially like different places that I've never been before.
You're
Now
gonna
that
have
I've been, what's that?
you're gonna have a rude awakening of like where you live. Not so much with snow, but freezing rain. Like where you
That's
live is notorious for that.
yeah.
Notorious.
I mean, we've got a whole host of new things to experience. Let's see. Doug said Ruan was OT after 40, typically 112 to 120 hours a week. You know the ag rules. Yeah. You can run if you're local and if you're hauling agriculture from the field to so they do milk to dairies. I mean from dairies to like cheese plants and creameries and stuff. So they just
Uh,
work the tar out of you.
yeah, but it has to be raw, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it actually has to be from the farm to a plant. Like if it's milk, it's got to be the
It's
pat.
it's
Like
li-
how they
it's
pack.
literally it's literally they milk the cows. I mean they
Yep,
use the
and then put
machines,
it
but
through their
they
pasteurizer
and
thing.
then
Yep. Yep.
and then they have it in the tank, and then these guys go onto like the farm through all the muck and the crud, and they hook up hoses and load up their tank, and then take it straight from there straight to the processing plant for it to get turned into whatever you eat. At least when you're working that many hours, you don't have any time to spend money. Believe it or not, you find time. You find the time, especially with Amazon and yeah, you can almost buy anything online now. You can buy cars online, like Carvana and stuff. It's weird. I couldn't ever do that. Just
No.
buy a car sight unseen. That's weird, but it's apparently popular. I don't know.
Didn't you buy a truck that way?
What do you mean?
Well, you never saw the truck that you purchased. You built it
But
like on specs. You
okay,
didn't you didn't see it. You
yeah,
built it online.
but no, but then when it got there, I went and saw it when they took delivery of it from
Oh, okay.
getting
Yep.
there, and then I was like, hey, this isn't right, this isn't right, and then so when they went through and they got everything set, ready, they had to make some adjustments that weren't. They were actually kind of ticked because the way that they set up, like it just didn't make much sense. Like my fuel tanks didn't match, and
Mm-hmm.
there was no reason for them not to. And so they actually had to drill new holes and slide the tank. At first, they just wanted to slide the tank in the straps, and then the straps would be like, and I was like, you can't do that. Like, no,
Right.
you gotta. And then he's like, well, I can't drill holes over here to make it perfect, to make them exactly symmetrical. And I'm like, well, you guys got to figure something out. So he moved it, and then the straps just ended up over a little bit, but it doesn't look terrible. But I was like, bro, you can't have just one tank like slid in the straps. It looks silly. Silly. Um, let's see. In your past video, you say Chicago to Wisconsin is Chicago market good for reefers. Chicago market is good for everything, I believe. It's like the freight king, according to Sammy Lloyd. And my experience of being up there, there's always loads. You're more familiar with the freight. What do you think?
I would say Chicago in the Midwest is probably the biggest hub. You know, when you think of like going to Georgia, you know, like Atlanta area is great. You know, can be a solid volume market. Same with like LA and stuff like that. When it comes to the Midwest, Chicago is. I mean, well, you know, man, uh, draw a circle around Chicago. You know, going out 50, 60 miles. There's freight all over that area, all
Yeah,
over that area.
100 miles. Yeah, but the
Yeah.
thing is, you don't have to deadhead very far. Like if you're going to, like I was in Bartlett, Illinois, so I looked for loads just within a 50-mile
Yep.
radius because I'm like, I don't need like there were loads that picked up like 15 miles away, but the timings of the appointments didn't quite work out, so I ended up having to deadhead 40 miles back into Chicago. But I was looking for loads right there, like Joliet and kind of the areas on the outskirts of Chicago, so I wouldn't have to actually go into.
Well,
But yeah,
you
there's tons of freight.
you just brought up an area, Joliet. Like you can bring product into cold storage facilities in Joliet and get a load leaving the exact same facility, like with no deadhead at all. I
It
mean,
happened to me. It happened to me last time I delivered in Joliet. I
oh,
delivered on one side of the building, and then I idled around at 5 miles an hour, so I didn't kick
yeah,
myself into drive, and I docked at another dock, and I got loaded over there. So empty in one dock, loaded in another, and then I was on my way to Wisconsin with that little load. So yeah, it Chicago is very good, and Wisconsin and Iowa and a few other places are good for reefer freight too. So, kind of just this whole area is that's why the loads don't pay very good getting in here, because there's a lot of trucks that are that are trying to get here. So like the freight coming in, depending on what market you're in, obviously, like there's more trucks that want to get up here for the good paying loads than there are loads to get people up here. So it ends up like I took a $2 a mile load from Pennsylvania to get to Chicago. But in the grand scheme of things, I got $2 a mile there, and then I'm gonna get like $4 a mile down to Iowa or four something a mile, and then I'm gonna get three something a mile to go up to Wisconsin, and then I'm gonna get however much I get, you know good money to go out of Wisconsin, and so it's like it all ends up evening out. Like that $2 a mile is nothing compared to like the whole week's worth of revenue. So
I think that's where a lot of people, especially that are new to the industry, make a massive mistake. Um, Not understanding what a lane pays. You saying you just took $2 out of Pennsylvania, like that's an area I'm very familiar with. That's like an average rate to get back to Chicago. You probably, you know, got like 18, $1,900 to get to Chicago. That's pretty like that's the rate. You know what I mean? And that's still a pretty decent rate because you got X amount to go out. And I think a lot of new people look at the spot market that every load needs to be $5 a mile. And the spot market just is not designed for that. It's to get you from some place back to a customer or like you back to where you know the good freight is. You know,
yeah.
that's what the spot market is designed for.
And
And
even if
always
you're running the spot market out of a good freight market, like so basically you just take your averages. Just play your averages and don't worry about like keeping the truck moving at $2 a mile is making me so much more money this week than trying to find a good paying load out of Pennsylvania that took me somewhere else.
Mhm.
Chances are, if it pays okay out of Pennsylvania, it's probably going to take me down to the Carolinas or down to like Texas or somewhere or Alabama. That's like Alabama is no man's land. And so if it barely pays $3 a mile, but then you get down there and then you're like, okay, I got a deadhead around down there, and then you barely find $3 a mile to go from there somewhere else, and it's by the time you deadhead around, and even though you're loaded miles, you might hit your magical $3 a mile threshold. All miles, you're going to end up at like 280 a mile, and you're not going to do as many miles because you're going to be waiting for loads and trying to piece everything together. Whereas if you just keep the truck moving, and I made like 350 a mile to go up to Pennsylvania. No, it was more than that. It was like $4 a mile to go up to Pennsylvania, and then I made $2 to get out. But I got out like the same day I delivered. I got out, and then I offloaded that the next morning, and then got reloaded. And it's like you keep the truck rolling, and yeah, you want to try to. If you're going to a good market, you can take $2 a mile. I guess that's all I need to say. Go
Yeah.
to a good market, and you can make up for that. You can take $1.50 a mile if you're going to go and get $4 or $5 a mile freight on the other end of it.
When you're working the lane instead of chasing the dollar, you're going to be more profitable. And what I
There you
mean
go.
by that is you understand everything about that lane that you're on. You understand the tolls, you understand the roads. You know you don't even need your GPS. You understand the lane and you know the ups and downs and the flows and the seasonal changes of that lane. You're gonna be more profitable doing that than just chasing the dollar every minute that truck's rolling. That sounds dumb, but it's the truth.
Yeah. I had to scroll back up and find that because that sounded like DIY advice.
It is DIY advice.
Got to give credit where credit is due.
He knows
Uh,
it, man. Like, come on. I don't need to keep patting his back.
let's see. Yeah, Jessica said we are on freeze watch here this weekend in Middle Tennessee. That's right. And this trucking life said ice storm alley. Yeah, the ice storms will be a whole new thing. I mean, literally, I've seen snow, I've seen rain, I've seen fog. Other than that, I haven't seen anything else. So, and my father-in-law, being from California, when I was first learning how to drive truck, he goes, "Snow is nothing. I've ran 70 miles an hour across packed snow." Freezing rain. He told me freezing rain, and he said, and then sometimes you'll get freezing fog, and I'm like, what the crap is freezing fog? That sounds like scary. It sounds like out of some kind of a movie. Like I don't know.
You'll be fine. You just, you know, you drive it like you want to get it home and you don't want to kill yourself or anybody else, And sometimes that means you don't drive at all. I mean, that's the reality.
And I heard a trick from I forget, it may have even been my father-in-law. I think it was him. But you turn on your defroster, but you put your visors down to keep that air pushing back against your.
Yep.
Is that a real thing,
Yep.
Mr.
And
Minnesota?
and sometimes so you don't get I don't know if you have heated wiper blades. I don't. But
I don't think so.
like thaw your windshield and then turn the heat down. You know what I mean? So it's comfortable in your truck. But if you free or thaw it too much, the wipers actually freeze and you're going to get big clumps of ice on your wipers. So you'll learn. You'll learn.
We shall see. Drama Central said, "What's for dinner?" I actually had a late lunch, so I haven't eaten yet. Uh, Thinking about going and getting a chicken pot pie at Grandma's restaurant, Grandma's Diner, or whatever that is. Oh, I just gave away my location, didn't
Yeah,
I?
you did.
Whoops. Guys, be nice. Woods and Bike said, and milk trailers are smooth bores, as many folks know, dangerous loads.
Yep.
The sulfur tankers I hauled were smooth bore, and sulfur is 14.98 pounds per gallon, something like that. Basically twice as much as water. Um, and our tanks, we didn't dome them out, so there was always a little room at the top, and especially if you had a heavier truck, then you'd have more room in your tanker because you just basically try and get it to 80,000. But that slosh would be, whew, it would be intense. It'd be intense. Um, Super Trucker Man Boobs only 3 payments of 1995 said Texas, Tennessee, Georgia don't know what salt is. Yeah, I mean, considering I'm driving my nice fancy Peterbilt around, uh I don't mind, I guess. Like I, I'll just pull over when it's frozen on the road, and I don't really want to get rusted out anyway. And it doesn't snow that often. It doesn't freeze that often. It's less frequent than like just up north. It just is.
Yeah.
But what do you think about this question, Fate? Is the Indianapolis market good for reefers?
Uh, I can't really answer that. I feel like I should because it's in my area, but I don't. A lot of my loads generate from like Minnesota, Wisconsin area is where a lot of my stuff generates, and the lane I run actually doesn't even bring me all the way down to 70. You know what I mean? I run 80 out east, so
And for me, it's a little too close to like the Nashville market for it to pay well enough to make like it's less than a day's drive. It's kind of like Cincinnati. It's like I could make $900 and get really good rate per mile to go to like Cincinnati or even Kentucky, but how can I like get back out of there with anything? And if I'm only making like $800 or $900 a day, once you figure in fuel, it's not a profitable week. So I end up not taking loads.
why don't we check out the DAT load board for tomorrow and Friday in Indianapolis?
I like it.
There's 190 loads on the board. Leaving that area. Let's see if there's any high paying freight.
Tell me any that go to like Atlanta. I want to see the Atlanta lane. Or anywhere down in Georgia.
Yo, dude. Is this a multi-stop load?
They never tell you on the DAT. You got
No,
to
but
call them.
there's a load for you, man.
What is it?
uh, Greenfield, Indiana to Tennessee, 375 a mile.
What is wait, so how 375 a mile would probably put it at like what, 1400, 1500?
1400.
Okay.
Yep. The
I'm so good at
Georgia,
trucking.
well, Indianapolis to Georgia, Atlanta is $1,900. It's got to be a multi-stop load or something though, because it's actually above the 15-day average.
Yeah. That's the thing. When I just try and check lanes on DAT, it's really hard, especially on reefer, because so many of them are multi-stop now. I think because the freight volume has gone down, so a lot of shippers are trying, like they still need to ship stuff, but the receivers don't need a full load, so they're trying to piece together a lot more stuff, seems like. Or maybe I'm just doing work for more people that do that kind of work, but it's yeah, seems like
I would say to answer that question based on what I'm seeing right here is Indianapolis is actually a fairly decent market for reefer.
cool. Cool. Yeah. So when I was researching, right, and I was like, okay, this was 2021. Um, maybe even no, this was 2020. But like freight rates were really good. And I was like, let's see what I could do from Tennessee. And then I was like looking at all of the different lanes I could like crisscross Tennessee with. So I was looking at like Atlanta to Ohio, Atlanta to Indiana, Chicago to Atlanta, and just see like, is there places I could like end up at the house in the middle of transit and then stop back by and keep going, and I could just crisscross through the house, so I could be at the house like twice a week plus the weekends and still make really good money because I'm getting like those long 600-mile loads in. And it looked great for that. I was like, this is amazing. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna have a ton of home time. I'm gonna make the same money or better than I'm making in California, and it's gonna be good. And then the rates have significantly dropped. Basically, getting out of Atlanta is not possible with a decent rate. Like you're getting out of Atlanta for like $1.50 a mile. It's crazy.
You mind if I drop my link?
No, of course. I don't mind at all. Yeah, Fate Trucking. No, Fate Truckin. I always say trucking. My bad. My bad. Um, let's see. Doug Fisher said he was those tankers are definitely not a joke. He was fresh out of the military and BS his way into the milk hauling job. Sure taught you how to shift a truck. Okay, So I have something to say about this. So I drove tanker for 4 or 5 years, 4.5, 5 years. When when I got into pulling a van, I misshifted so much when I was heavy because I was used to accelerating and having the surge pull back on me, but you don't really feel it because you're using the truck. And then when it comes back forward, you quick shift before your RPMs are there, and then your momentum catches you, and you're just moving through the gears with each surge, so that it's shifting the truck for you, and you don't even have to hit your RPMs. You're just driving by the feel of it. Well, all of a sudden, I got a van behind me, or a reefer, and I'm like waiting for and then I'm like I was so out of sync for a good long while. It's like I forgot how to drive because I drove those tankers. And I'm telling you, that 14 plus pounds per gallon is heavy. It is. There were times where if you had a really like a really or I mean a really, actually, it's if you have a light load, basically if you have more space in that tanker, that stuff would get moving. And like we would have to stop on these dumb hills and these stoplights in Richmond, and and you catch it just right where you accelerate when the surge is kind of going back, and that thing, you'd be on the accelerator, and then it'd go boom, and it'd pull you
Oh,
back just a little bit. And then, yeah, my buddy lost his his rear end on doing that stuff. Of course, it was a single screw with a dummy axle, or with a whatever they call them,
yeah.
tag axle.
Big axle.
Yeah. So he that poor differential, um, it had been working hard for a while. So what's up, your boy Callie? You got to drop your name of your channel again. I went and checked it out. I don't know how I wasn't subscribed yet, but I subscribed to it after the last live. So let's see. Daniel Yoder, Sioux City, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska is where some of our meat products coming from, to Americold, where you work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely yeah, I have an in with uh, a direct shipper out of Sioux City, Iowa, and North Sioux City, whatever, South Dakota. And he said um, they said they could get me some loads, but I've yet to be able to work something out with them. But let's see. Kevin Cloyd said, scrap hauler in Kentucky, run Glasgow, Kentucky over to London, Kentucky. I know you've been through here. Hope to run into you one day. Enjoy your channel. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. And yeah, that was a nice run when I went from London and went west. And then where did I cut on one of those, I cut down on one of those highways that went to Lebanon, went through Lebanon, Tennessee. So that was a cool drive. I liked it. It
Yeah.
was really
Kentucky's
cool.
a cool state.
It was a little foggy, but it was a cool drive through there. Let's see, lightning.
Snow yesterday. Holy cow.
Yeah, there was wait, lightning snow. I saw lightning. I didn't see snow. I've never heard of lightning snow. He's up by Reno. They it they've had a they've had a couple big winter storms up there. You guys are supposed to get a winter storm this week, right? Pretty
Yeah.
substantial
Well,
snowfall.
our temperatures are dropping dramatically. It was really nice today, minus
Yeah,
the rain, but our temperatures are supposed to drop. Like currently, right now, we're sitting at 63. I think by the time I leave, we're going to be like in the 30s.
yeah, yeah. I looked at your guys's weather, and I was like, whew, man. Because
Yeah.
ours is going to be like that. Ours is going to be like a high of 40 and a low of 20 all next week, basically, down in Tennessee. So might be time to take a load down to Florida. Of course, they got a hurricane, so who knows? Can't win, no matter where you go. Even California had uh, they had snow up on the grapevine and stuff. It's been weird. Been weird. Here we go. Brad Stafford said, Nick, you will see freezing rain and fog in Tennessee for sure. Also, people can't drive in winter weather either. I've noticed that pretty much everywhere I've been. People don't like to slow down in Yeah, that winter weather causes terrible drivers to show themselves.
Yes, it does.
Let's see. I'm gonna try and catch back up. There you go. Wish everyone the best. Your boy Cali. Yeah, it's Cali King 916. I was there. I was there. I should have left a comment. I was there and I was watching. I was hanging out,
Leave that up for a minute.
but I didn't comment. I think I was driving, to be honest. uh, just drive and listen. That's what I do. Let's see.
Oh,
There you
see,
go. Subscribed.
good.
I like it. Yeah, Sterling said never be afraid of multiple stop. Volumes are down, so soft LTL will be king. Yeah, I mean that's been kind of how it's been already. I've definitely been taking whatever multi stops I can find, and I mean the one I'm on right now is a multi stop, or it was supposed to be. The one that took me to Pennsylvania was a multi pick, multi drop. It was a 2 and 2. So yeah, it was yeah. Oh, Jessica, you're going to bed. Good night. What time is it? 8 o'clock? Are you really going to sleep? Oh no, you're not going to sleep. You're just signing out for the night. You're probably doing bath times and stuff. I thought you were going to bed. That would be weird. You're not. You're not that old. She's 2 years older than me, so I always give her a hard time for being old. Oh, there you go. Beast of Logan. What's funner than cribbage? Isn't that Harry Potter's favorite game? Is it? I don't know. I've never watched Harry Potter or read Harry Potter. Not a single one of them.
You've never watched Harry Potter.
Nope. Yeah. Why would I watch something like that? I have no desire. No desire. No desire. Actually, I feel
How
like
about
I'm missing out on something.
how about the never-ending story?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Labyrinth?
I got scared away by what's his name's freaking
David Bowie?
yeah, David Bowie's junk flopping everywhere. That was made me uncomfortable. Of course I was watching it as a teenager, and I was like, "Why are we watching this? This is really awkward. Is anyone
Jennifer
else
Connelly
awkward?
did it?
Who?
Jennifer Connelly
I don't know who that
is the
is.
main actress in the movie.
I don't I don't remember who that is though. I know the name. I can't like. What else has she been in?
The new Top Gun. She's
I
been in a lot of things.
I haven't seen that either. uh, let's see. We get thunder, snow with lightning pretty frequently in Oak Oaklodge. What is that? Is that like a
I wonder if that's supposed to be Oklahoma.
maybe it's
No, snow in Oklahoma. Maybe I'm.
okay. Rogue Knight said, Nick, guess where I'm parked for the night? One hint, it's not Cali. Um, I don't know. Are you up where we hung out that one night? That would be my only guess. If you're mentioning it to me, it must be maybe what was it, Fernley, Nevada? That's my guess. That's my final answer. There you go. It was Oklahoma. We got it. We got it. Woods and Bikes, thanks for coming in here. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Yeah.
You rock. Keith Bronson said, you ain't seen nothing yet. In reference to what the weather, I believe it. Daniel Yoder, we have some lightning and snowstorm at the same time. Do we?
I don't get that where I live.
You guys just get like, feet of snow.
Not as much anymore. Like we used to get a lot more snow when I was a kid, but the cold, Like it's progressively gotten colder. Like
That's crazy. Fernley. Okay, so it is. Oh, man, I'm so good at this. Let's play some more. Who else wants to give me some trivia? No, I'm joking. uh, let's see. 3 days of Burger King inside cab melted. I don't get it. You mean you left Burger King in your cab for 3 days and it melted?
I would think a little harder. What's gonna happen if you eat Burger King for 3 days straight?
Um, I would just be like a happy man. Nothing weird would happen to me. I don't show all the crap that I eat, but my diet is legitimately like I had a trucker's diet before I became a trucker. Like I eat out a ridiculous amount of times. Ridiculous amount of times. Hey, Velox, howdy from Outlook, Saskatchewan.
Ooh, that's up there.
Yeah, he's getting some cold already this time of year. His winter has started.
Hey, there's people already ice fishing up in Canada. Few channels
Wow.
I watch, they're already ice fishing. I'm jealous.
Yep. Where did you honk your horn at me? That was right there in Livingston, right? Oh, now I asked you guys to trivia me, and now I'm now I'm gonna mess everything up. Rogue Knight said about to get some Denny's and win some money. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Yeah, Rogue Knight said I know this on the 99. Yep, that was an easy one. Easy one. I didn't almost forget that one. So Fate, if you were to do a trucking podcast, would you put it out on other like podcast mediums? You know, like
Yeah,
Spotify and iTunes and all of that.
yeah, because that's what I listen to. I would have to very like. Obviously, it's not something I'm capable of doing like right at this moment, and I don't have like the time to do like really good interviews or I shared with you somebody I would like to interview, you know what I mean? And there's a couple other things that I would like to talk about that I would like to like kind of give to the masses, you know.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun. And it's, just form of entertainment for people that might enjoy that type of talk and pass the time. I mean, that's why I
yep,
listen to podcasts and you know
yep,
YouTube stuff, live shows when I'm driving because it passes the time.
yep. So it's funny because me and you haven't really talked about it, and I haven't really talked to anyone about it. But I have this idea for a podcast as well. Um,
Oh, great.
and
Well,
so
I don't want to compete against you.
it's kind of funny. No, it's actually it's not entirely about trucking. It's trucking adjacent, but it's a little different.
Well,
Um,
that's what I was kind of getting at about wanting to. I started doing vlogs and stuff on my channel and thought, oh, trucking channels, blah blah blah. But it's more than that. Like I have, talking about family, talking about how to be a parent that's kind of absent at times of important times in kids' lives. Like people can learn from what we do and how we've raised our families, and I'm proud of the way I raised my family, even though I might not have been there all the time. You know what
yeah,
I mean? You can still instill like core values and morals without being there every second.
yeah.
You know.
Fritz, have a good night, man. Thanks
Yeah,
for
good night.
stopping by. Yeah, Peace of Logan said I'm still trying to figure out how to go live on YouTube. Sometimes they make you wait until you have 1,000 subscribers, and then other people don't. I couldn't go live until after I had 1,000 subscribers, and then they they kicked that in, and I was able to. And then I saw other guys that didn't have 1,000 subscribers, and they get to go live right away, and I'm like, hey, what the heck? What the ding ding? How come I'm getting
Well,
you know
You can always go live on StreamYard and attach it to your YouTube channel if you don't have 1,000 subscribers or
See,
500 or whatever it is
is
now.
that how people were doing it? I had no clue that that's how they did it.
Yep.
Wow. Now it makes sense because I just thought YouTube was like discriminating against me. That's really funny. I never even knew that, man. Never knew that. Yeah, ask Siri. You can ask Siri anything. You always say, Mr. Coach, Velox 18 and Fake Trucking podcast in the future. Yeah, I mean, I would be down.
Yo, look at his shirt, man. That's a
Uh,
Minnesota Twin shirt.
that is a Minnesota Twins shirt.
He's
You're
got a
right.
channel.
Yeah, his channel is actually awesome. Uh, I don't know if he's been doing as much with it, but he would go live while he was driving, but it would just be so his wife would be at home kind of moderating, and so he would be live, and then like other truckers would be live, and then they would all be doing what we're doing now, but
Yep.
talking about it like thoroughly. Now a lot of it is in Espanol, and so when I came in, I just made a comment like, "Man, I need to brush up on my Spanish," and then they all just changed over to English for me. There's like 8 people on the screen, and they're like all of them 100% bilingual. Don't even, I mean, maybe like one of them had like a an accent that was noticeable, but most everyone they like their English is better than mine probably. So it was like, man, uh like I but he's serving like that like the
Yep.
Hispanic culture and the Spanish speakers to help them. Basically what we're doing on this side, like there's not as many Spanish speaking YouTubers. There's another guy, uh Blaise. I always mispronounce his but his last name is Chalice. And anyway, so he does a lot of stuff on his YouTube channel, and he's bilingual as well. So anyway, those guys are crushing it. I just wish I was able to speak as good as Spanish to be able to understand it, because I don't. I What's funny is I can understand like a number of the words, but once you get into like trucking talk, I I haven't learned any of that vocabulary, so it just I get so lost. And there's like a few things that, because English and Spanish are both Latin-based languages, you can kind of like, it's like carga. Okay, so that's kind of like cargo. So I'm like piecing together like, okay, this must mean that, and then there's other things, la trailer. You're like, okay, that's the trailer. Like I can like, so there's certain things where I can follow it a little bit, but I get lost so quickly.
I used to have
Uh,
a job where probably 90% of people I dealt with on a daily basis spoke Spanish here in Minnesota, right? It was all roofing crews. And there was times kind of like you just learned what they were saying to you because it made like somehow the translation made sense. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like it just made sense. And then you could kind of talk to them like you understood what they were saying and you developed almost like your own little Spanish language because I'm not fluent or anything in any other
yep.
language other than English. You
Well,
know.
that's why I would always be really patient with like I worked at Burger King, right? And I was a manager, and there would be guys that were pretty new, pretty fresh from Mexico, and they would be in the middle of picking up the English language. And there was a few guys I remember. This one dude, he was he would misconjugate all of his verbs almost every time. I run, he would all everything was just like jumbled, and it didn't always make sense. Sometimes I had to ask him again, and then it's like, because not only was it the accent, but then he's kind of misconjugating verbs, and he's mixing verbs up and stuff. But I'm telling you, I've worked with the guy for like a year and a half, and over the course of time, like he progressed in his English to where it was like 100%, and I was just like struggling to learn the little Spanish I knew, and I realized like I need to just do what he did and just speak what I could speak of Spanish, and the rest would kind of like I would start slowly learning, but I needed to at least say what I, even though I wasn't saying it right. And I know I misconjugate verbs. That's like the hardest part for me of Spanish is like the different conjugations, for like, you know, I I'm driving, you're driving, we're driving. So in English, it's the, I, your, we, all of that stuff changes. But in Spanish, all like the actual driving would change to a different word depending
Oh,
on
word.
how, what the so anyways, so I would always misconjugate the verbs like constantly, but I don't know, I just kept going, and they had patience with me, and then, I would have patience with them when they needed it. But I they spoke English a lot better than I spoke Spanish by the time I got done working at Burger King. They taught me a lot, but they were better students than I was. So yeah, Miss Vegan said it best. She said immersion is best for language learning. Exactly. Exactly. And I know that that's why they were able to advance a lot quicker than I did, but it still was frustrating because I even took 2 years of Spanish in high school,
So
and so
that.
I and so it's like which I know my son Miles took 4 years, and he literally cannot speak a lick of English. I mean, a lick of Spanish. He took 4 years, and actually it was five because he got 1 year of credit, but he had to take 2 years in junior high to get that 1 year of credit. So he took 5 years of Spanish, and he can't speak it at all, like not even a little bit. Like I'll say things in Spanish just a little bit that I know, and he'll be like, "What?" I'm like, "Come
Well, see,
on, you got to know what that is. Come on."
even listening to you talk about like the restaurants you eat at or like the food you're ordering, and just tonight you were talking about the things you like, how like r's and things like that are enunciated. That's what I struggled with, like the enunciation of the word. Like I can't say it, you know what I mean? I can't move my lips or roll my tongue the the right way for the enunciation to come out correct.
What's funny is I speak with a pretty good accent when I do speak in Spanish, so that people assume I know a lot more than I do because they're like, "Oh, he sounds like he knows Spanish," and
Yeah.
then I'm like, "No, I'm still just a typical white boy. Sorry, you're gonna speak English better than I speak Spanish. So let's just switch over to English, and we'll go from there." Because yeah, this is that I'm no good at it, no good at it. But there you go. Miss Vegan said high school language class is more like taking math for language. Language is more like learning and playing music. Yeah, you learn you learn by doing. You learn by doing,
Yeah.
not by being taught on an overhead projector. That was always that was always my least favorite part of math class when she'd sit there and do like workout problems for us on the overhead projector, and she's facing you, but she's doing this and she's writing all of the, and you're just like copying what she's writing even though you don't understand what she's doing. You're like, okay, for some reason we're putting an X over here and a Y over here, and she's explaining it, but at the same time you're like, I don't know. I Algebra wasn't wasn't my thing. Yeah, so Mr. Coach said, just say it, don't worry about the accent.
Huh.
Yeah. I heard a guy who's wicked smart, super smart on a podcast today, and he said, and it threw me off because um, I just assumed he would say it kind of, with the accent, like with a rolled R. But he said quinceañera, and it threw me off so bad because it's like I've only ever heard it pronounced quinceañera, like it's the 15th birthday party, the quinceañera. And so I heard him say, this guy who's like legitimately like multi-millionaire at like 30 something years old because he's a smart dude and very well traveled, been around the world,
Oh, I think I
been
know who
around
you're
the world
talking
and I yeah yeah, but he's like quinceañera, and I'm like, what? Like, you don't know how to say quinceañera? Come on, bro, come on. But yeah, that's funny. Lavelle Family Trucking said, "When are you buying a hopper?" Hey, for real though, that is that's something I'm keeping in my back pocket. I still have kind of like a um I can't divulge all of what I'm thinking about right now because, well,
It's
I
your
don't want
business.
to. Yeah, but 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 your suggestions on that, I've like taken into consideration, and I'm keeping that in my back pocket because I am well, I see them around Tennessee, so I know that there's loads, and you're telling me, you work for people that have those loads, so it makes sense. You know, and I got someone, I think I know of one person who said they might want to buy my trailer from me. Like they're like kind of kind of thinking about it. So we'll see if he wants to or not. But um, yeah, I don't know. There's so much unknown for me right now, but that's the buying a hopper. The buying a hopper thing is definitely on the table. Definitely on the table. Ms. Vegan said, enunciation is training the tongue and ear for the language. It's not as important for your brain to understand and converse. Enunciation is training the tongue and ear for the language. It's not as important for your brain to understand and converse. I think I know that. I think that's why I was able to learn more working at Burger King than I did in 2 years in the classroom. Um, that and my Spanish teacher in high school was from Spain, so he talked with a lisp, and he not a lisp, but like the Spanish language, European style, has like a lisp to it. Like it's weird. They talk totally different, and so it was like learning a different language than the one I had heard all around me growing up and stuff. So uh, let's see. Yo, say, Mr. Coach, he said Z's. Does that mean that we're putting you to sleep, or does that mean that that you're going to sleep? Hopefully, you're just headed off to bed. But there you go. Miss Vegan said this. I think that means this. Daniel Yoder said Nick, German is like that too. You change your word around to say it in English. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean, that's what I told my son. Like, as long as you're learning a Latin based language, there will be a lot of carryover. There just will be, because we use the same alphabet. And like that, if you start with that, then for the most part, the same alphabet, then you're gonna be able to uh, understand it a little bit better and learn it a little more quickly. But like, I mean, could you imagine trying to learn like Mandarin or something with like the symbols and like it's daunting to think about that. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Gracias. Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Um, there you go. Robert Smith said there's different kinds of Spanish. There's school Spanish and street Spanish.
Oh yeah.
Simon say Simon. I know. I know. Uh This being said, I learned that it was hard but cool. Yeah, I knew when like the Mexican kids that spoke fluent Spanish were getting C's in Spanish class, that it was a lot less about knowing how to speak it and a lot more about, just like, I mean, I got a D in English class, and it's like I know how to speak English, but somehow I couldn't get a good grade in English class. So um there you go, Scott Bullock. Any owner ops looking to pull flatbed? I've got a lot of work. Where does your work? I know I've asked you before, Scott, but where does your work originate from, and where do your what lanes are you most active on? Because that's important to me. Getting home, that's kind of the main reason why I haven't done some of the opportunities that I've been given. Because I want to. If I'm gonna make a change and do something, I'm gonna do it so that I can be home more. Orale. Dennis Jeep Freak said, "Hello, Velox from Sudbury, Ontario. How's the weather up there? How's the weather up there?" So we got Saskatchewan in the house. We got Ontario in the house. I like it. I like it. Let's see. What about the white people Spanish? We add O to the end of everything. Yeah. What's funny is sometimes you get lucky, and that's actually what it is, or at
Right.
least like at least just like a a slang word. Like I remember, um, yeah, just caro, carro, and it's not like the actual word for car in Spanish, but like if you talk to someone from Mexico, like they say the carro all the time. Like it's just part of the vernacular now. Let's see. I'd love to see the great freight race in this market with Fate trucking joining the gang. Yeah, that would be cool. I just don't have the capacity for it right now. Like I'm more than willing to hand that off to someone who wants to make a run at it. It was
Well, you,
fun.
you would actually let me join this time?
Um, yeah. Did I keep you out last time?
We had this conversation.
Did I?
Remember, I didn't have a YouTube channel?
Oh, but but I didn't say. I guess I did just through a proxy.
Let's.
That's right. I remember now. I remember now. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Scott said South Carolina to Michigan is the lane I'm running now, but have work all over. Does it all? I mean, does it all originate out of South Carolina, or does your customer like are they a multi? They got a lot of. Sorry, I know you probably don't want to like divulge everything out here in the open, but then again, you did offer out to everyone, say, hey, anyone want to come join me? So feel free to give a little pitch, give a little pitch to us, and say what's good about hauling flatbed in the wintertime. Ooh, let's see. Very nice. No snow yet, and temp is around 40.
Hmm,
I'm 4 hours north of Toronto. Okay,
wow.
yeah, you're up there then. But that the snow does seem to be focused in on the west right now. They're getting they're getting hit. They're getting hit. Oh yeah, and he said no ice fishing yet over there.
No, this was in. Where were they? Manitoba, I think.
Manitoba,
I'll look where
man.
they were.
All right.
Um,
Blind Sight is in the house. What's going on, Mr. Blind Sight? Robert Smith says CH Robinson is cutting 1,300 employees. Yeah,
wow.
I mean it's I mean we see it already. Like they just can't. I've actually already lost a couple of my broker contacts that because they're kind of like the bottom rung of brokerages where they're the carrier contact person, and I think they're moving on because there's just not a lot of money to be made. Because there's just, I mean, think about it. If the pie is shrinking, there's going to be a lot of people left, kind of eating crumbs. It's kind of what I'm doing right now on the spot market, just eating the crumbs left over by all the good companies that have good connections. Brian Aguilar said, "Are y'all having fun in the snow yet? I've been at since the morning going up and down Donner Pass. No, you guys are getting all the snow out west. We're good out here. I think North Dakota's getting slammed tomorrow, something like that. But and then a little bit's hitting Minnesota. But uh, I'm gonna be up in Wisconsin by tomorrow night, and it's gonna get cold, but it's not supposed to snow. And if it does, it'll just be a few little flurries. I almost said a drizzle. That's not snow. That's
No,
not,
call that a dusting.
there you go. Dusting.
A
I like it.
drizzle of snow.
I'm telling you, I don't know anything about
You put
winter
that
weather.
hanky in your back pocket. Let me tell you something, son. You're-
Oh man. Hopper loads for Frito Lay pay good money, and brother-in-law pull hopper bottom work turbo turtles. Turbo turtles. I've never heard that. What's turbo turtles out of Omaha? I need you to tell me what that is because that sounds so cool. I want to use that. I want to use that.
so there's
Um,
two things where I live that if you're an owner operator, they're kind of traps. And I don't know anything about this, so I'm not speaking from experience, but one of them is hopper work and the other is port style work, pulling those containers. Where I live, that is like you can go out and do it, but it is such a hit or miss thing in the area I live in that a lot of guys actually like go broke doing it.
yeah.
But I that's where I live in Minnesota, and I have no experience in it. I'm just based off of friends that I've had do it that go from like they've gone from like dirt work hauling end dumps and side dumps and gone to hopper because they thought it would be easier on their truck, and they're right back doing dirt work.
Yeah.
I don't, but once again, I don't have any experience in it.
Well, and like you said, each market and lane is a little
Yep.
different. So it's what might be difficult in one area may be pretty
Good in
lucrative
another.
in
Yep.
another area.
Yep.
Especially with agriculture. I mean, it's like it really depends on what crops. I mean, like in California, they've transitioned to like almost all almond orchards, and I mean, there's less diversity of crops, and kind of like the coast gets all like the lettuce and kind of the all of that kind of stuff, the green stuff, and then in the valley it's like almost all orchards now, nut orchards, and it's been crazy. I wanted to mention this. Scott said I haul for the electric companies hauling the poles from the Carolinas and Tennessee. That's that sounds like cool work too. I like that. What
Oh,
do you,
he's got another comment, couple down. The customer has trailers I use for no charge.
that's a good deal. That's a good deal. I was gonna say because that takes a special trailer, right? I've seen those poles, and it kind of depends on. I've seen them on flatbeds before, like when they were doing all the firework in Northern California. I was watching guys go down and pick up these telephone poles, and they were just like up and down the highway. Like, oh man, I don't even know how many poles they took up there. I would see like probably 100 a day for like 2 or 3 months.
So can I ask
So
you a dumb question? Being
sure,
from that area, I know you've dealt probably with like wildfires. We've had our some wildfires here in Minnesota, but it's been years since that's happened in like the Boundary Waters area. But like, when disasters happen and how they drop like all the hours of service, does that happen for you truckers out in California when you have like wildfires and things like that? If
I don't
you're
remember. I don't remember them doing that.
hmm,
I think if you have FEMA loads, then it counts. Then you're probably under some sort of a special
exemption.
exemption. But I don't think just for like regular loads and stuff. I don't think that. But I was doing sulfur. I was doing hazmat tanker, so I wouldn't have even looked into it. So maybe they did. I don't know. I'd have to see.
I just look at when I see the stuff on the news and how damaging those wildfires are out in that area.
Yeah.
Like they got to get product or food and all kinds of stuff moved. I just
Yeah.
thought maybe you would know if there was like some emergency declare of,
I'm
something.
now that you say it, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is one way or another. So, so Mr. Coach, you're welcome for the wrench. Appreciate you coming and stopping by. Always appreciate it. Kevin Cloyd said, "Fate, I plan on checking out your channel too. Nick has spoke about you. If you're cool to him, I'm sure I'll like you too."
Well, thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, you're all right. We put up with you.
We do things different. I mean, but
Yeah,
it's the same concept. It's the same. You said that line, two different rules for the same game. You said that in your video, and I could not think of a better way to phrase that. Like
yeah,
that was spot on. Spot on.
and and like and it's funny because like I'm not opposed to what you do, or I don't think that what you do is a bad way to do it. It's just that I wanted to try to put myself in the situation where I'd have guys like you running loads for me, and I just missed the boat. I made some connections in California, but they didn't translate as well to Tennessee as I thought, and the freight market kind of collapsed before I could build up more connections in Tennessee. So now I kind of basically got left hanging, and instead of having 2 years worth of or a year and a half worth of working for the same brokers and building relationships, when you move out of one market, especially like across the country, like there's a totally different set of brokers that have the customers and the loads in like different regions. So what I used to run in California, I did a lot of I mean TQL has a ton of loads in California, but TQL Coyote, you're going to get those loads when you first start your authority, and they're everywhere. So they kind of don't count. But I had customer loads, the cheese plant out there. I had the tomato plant. I had loads. I did loads for like Fortune Logistics. I did loads for um I'm trying to think of who else is like specifically for there. I did a lot of like not a lot, but I did Alan Lunn and what's the other one? Scott something or other. But anyway, all the names I like did a bunch that were
or something like that.
Scott Lynn. Yeah, Scott Lynn. They have a ton of work out west. And then there was like even a couple guys that I did work for that were like more local to like the San Diego and then the Yuma, Arizona ag seasons out there, the harvest seasons. So like losing all of those connections basically when I moved to Tennessee in June, and then being like kind of looking around and being like, hey, who wants to work with a guy that just moved out here and they don't know, and I'm like sending a carrier packet into them. And so I've just been kind of, I don't know, I've been scuffling a little bit. Not to mention my dad passed away 3 weeks after we moved here, so it kind of, I haven't been probably as focused as I would have liked to have been. Just kind of trying to stay afloat. And now we're in like pure survival mode where it's like I can't even wrap my brain around like what what I would need to prioritize in order to get to where like DIY is. Like it's really just like a, all right, well, let's just find some loads to make, pay the bills, and
Well,
we'll be there. So
I don't think I've ever shared this. Do you want to know why I went the route I went leasing onto a carrier versus getting my own authority? Because when I say I was prepared for this, I did. Did I have just like an open checkbook? No, I didn't. But I had X amount of funds that I could have gone out and gotten my own authority. Um, I chose I chose not to go that way uh, for the risk. Like that's the absolute honest truth. Is I looked at a situation that I didn't want to take the full risk and fail, where I thought if I leased onto a carrier, I would eliminate some of my risk. And then when I met the carrier I'm leased onto, I thought, holy cow, this is somebody that I could learn an awful lot of, not just the industry, but like good life lessons. And for me, I mean, I don't think I could have made a better decision, you know.
yeah, I agree. To be honest, I think that I think that the mistake I made was that I put too many years into um getting experience in something that I had no plans and really no ability to break into as a carrier myself. Um, in order to break into that kind of realm, you have to have a customer on board, and then you have to go out and you have to buy like pretty much new equipment because it has to be spec for the haul that you're on. And the people who have the equipment that's spec for the haul that you want to be on, they're not going to sell you their equipment because you're taking their work. So they're like, "Hey, you need these specialized trailers. We're not going to sell them to you because you want to steal our work from us, duh." So like you'd have to buy them from like across the country. Like the carrier I was leased onto, they found one trailer that they found to rent, and it was this dinosaur. We called it the dinosaur trailer. It was all like just completely old, no polish left on the skin. It just looked like crap, and it barely worked. And because they were just trying to find as many trailers as they could, and then they had bought a bunch of trailers and they were getting them built and everything so that we could have enough trailers for all the work we were going to get. But yeah, it was like you had to have an in with a customer and the ability to finance like a fleet of trailers depending on how many loads you could get. And so jumping from a one truck power only owner operator to that was just too big of a leap. And um and so I jumped into reefer freight, which I had never hauled before, never even worked a company job. So it was a whole new world. So like part of my learning curve in the beginning wasn't like how to build relationships in the business, and like I was doing all of that, but I was also just learning how to like operate my reefer. Like DIY showed me stuff last weekend or last week when I saw him. He showed me stuff on my reefer that I had never even known before, that I never learned, and I've had this thing for a year and a half. So I'm completely green, and I didn't even take the time to go to a carrier that would teach me all that stuff. I'm just out here winging it. And who is it? That's Calvin Leake. He has Winging It LLC. Anytime he sees like a boneheaded trucker movie, he hashtags it Winging It LLC, and I'm like, crap, he's talking about me.
Well, a lot of people did it that way. I mean, the market allowed you to do that. I
Yeah,
mean, the market allowed that to happen. You could come right out of high school and start your own carrier and make doctor money. I mean,
crazy.
and coming from a guy that was a company driver for 23 years or 20 years, like it it really like kind of infuriated me. Not because people could do it, because I hadn't done it yet.
Yeah,
Like that's what really, you know, upset me. Twisted the screw, you know what I mean?
yeah. So Blind Sight, he asked, is it a lack of loads, or is it because brokers seriously can't make a cut anymore?
Well, what's that a question on?
uh, because I was talking about how CH Robinson is
Oh,
someone mentioned CH Robinson laying off 1,300 guys, and then I said some of the people I've dealt with at some of the bigger brokerages are gone, and so I don't have the same contacts anymore and stuff. And so he's asking if it's a lack of loads, or is it because brokers just can't make enough money anymore?
well, you run reefer, I run reefer. I would say volumes have dropped dramatically. I mean, there's not as much work out there. If you listen to people that are very smart in this industry, it's cutthroat across the table right now, all the way from brokerages to us as owner operators competing with mega carriers or competing with me and Nick. I mean, in the end, as much as I respect Nick, I respect every, like, if it ever came down to it, and you're my competitor, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, in the end, you're my competitor, and it's just become a very cutthroat industry right now across the board. In
Well, and
my
that's why like when guys call for like owner ops need to stand together, it's like, why are we standing together? Like I don't, like, we are literally are each other's competition for, like like you don't see that. You don't see like whatever Apple iPhones and Samsung saying, hey, we should band together so that AT&T and T and Verizon have to buy our wholesale phones at a higher amount, because if we're the main two and if we can do that, it's like that just doesn't happen. We're in competition with one another. And if we ever got together and did that, it's actually um pretty sure it's like price fixing, and it's kind of illegal in America anyway. We're not OPEC. We don't get the chance to do that.
Well, there's so many intangibles, and this might give away like a little bit of where I stand on some of this stuff, and people might agree with me or disagree with me. You might choose to subscribe or unsubscribe by this comment. Like, there's a lot of things in trucking that are stacked against us, that if we were to band together, it shouldn't be about certain things that we're upset about right now. It should be about like other hardcore things that really have affected the trucking industry in my 23 years of being in it. When you really boil everything down, rates, I'm sorry to say, are still at historic highs. There are lots of people that made, in my opinion, impulsive decisions that have made their business hard to operate in this market. As much as I feel and have empathy for people, that's their mistake. And then you can have people like me that are very successful in an industry where a lot of people are struggling. And that's just due to a lot of it's equipment, a lot of it's how much are you paying out to operate your business right now?
Yep.
You know what I
And
mean?
yeah, and that's part of the equation for me, right? On trying to get rid of this truck is the monthly note, but also the fuel, it's like that those two things are you know, extreme. So that's part of the whole, that's part of the whole thing is, yeah, I set up my business to be profitable, um on less work than what it takes for me to be profitable now, and I'm uncomfortable with the amount of work it will take for me. Basically, I want to see my kids grow up, and I don't want to live on the road in order to have a nice truck and have a have what did Cash say? Have the guys at the truck stops in their Wranglers and belt buckles looking at me. You know, like I just that just isn't.
Hey man, and that's, you know what? That's nothing but you get, that is the absolute like most respect like that I can get. Like I think what you're doing or things that you just shared is like that's honorable. I have nothing but the utmost respect for that. And I think you're somebody that took a look in the mirror. And I'm not, maybe I'm out of bounds. Sometimes it's hard for people to take a look in the mirror and not only as a person, but as a business owner, realize that you need to make a change and the blame can't be shifted. Like nothing good comes from shifting blame. I mean, I think we see that right now in society. Nothing good comes from shifting blame. If we take a look in the mirror as businesses and as individuals, what can we change? How can we operate better? You know, maybe we can have a better outcome and not be forced to live on the road and miss our families. You know what I mean? A simple change can change that for you.
Yep.
You know, a truck,
And
something that simple, a freaking
yep.
truck can change that for you.
Yep. So successful people almost never, um I don't I don't know that number, and I don't think.
It's TQL. They want to know where you're at, your location, and your temp.
Hello.
Mute.
Yes.
You guys watching a movie? All right, I'm gonna come
Could you call me back another time? Now's not the best time for me to do this. Is that okay? Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. It was a call from Mississippi, and that's where Miles goes to school. So I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, this time of night, it's 8:45. Like it wouldn't be like a, you know, it wouldn't be like a guy, or I don't know. I was kind of I was kind of just thinking about it, like they wouldn't, like, what if something happened to my son and I'm like, oh, I'm live on YouTube. I can't be bothered to you know, to answer the phone.
Well, I hear you.
But anyway, they were like conducting a survey of parents of the university, and I'm like, can we do this later? Like I'm down to answer your questions, but um maybe not right now. Maybe not right now.
I want a free oil change today.
That's how did you do that?
Took a survey from a shop that did some work to my truck, and I was entered into a random drawing and won. So I get a free PM service.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, to go back to what we were saying though before I got interrupted by the call, but uh successful people, that's what I was trying to say. Successful people almost never make excuses for why um a plan isn't working. And I hesitate to use the word fail because I don't really think that that's what's happening here. And I don't think that I think if you're calling it a failure, it's because you've already decided that it isn't. It's a then you failed. If you say like, yeah, well, I'm failing at this or that. And it's kind of like, well, you've already made that decision, and that means you don't have any other options. But the fact is that successful people find options. Like they make things happen. They they overcome obstacles in their lives and in front of them in business. And rarely do successful people blame other people for things that they could have uh, done better. Things like I could have done better at planning out my business, at strategizing my business. I thought that I was kind of going off of a forecast from a few trusted people, and they thought that the slowdown would happen this winter. Well, it didn't. It happened like 6 months early because the 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 steep curve of the Fed raising the interest rates, I think, like took the wind out of the sails of the economy faster than anyone even thought that it would. Um, and I'm talking like I've been not just trucking, but like economists in general are kind of surprised at um, the like severity that they've kind of attacked the economy with their rate hikes. And so because of that, um, I didn't plan well. I thought I had more time. I was planning to do something different. And so now I'm in this position of, I got to be gone from the house in order to make a good living. And really not even a good living, just a break even with like my house bills and stuff. And having just bought a house, we don't have enough equity to, you know, um, take out a HELOC or anything. So we're pretty much just like, I'm just in like a grind mindset right now where it's like, okay, I got to pay my bills and I got to go to work because I got to pay for fuel, truck bills, fuel, truck bills every month. And that's it's wearing me out. But at the same time, it's like I put myself here. So then it's like, okay, how do I change things and rearrange things so I can get myself out of where I'm at? Because where I'm at is uncomfortable. And now it's time to move out of this place. And I think that if I try to blame brokers, number one, that's ignorant. But number two, it's like it only is taking into account like this small percentage of like um first off, small percentage of brokers who are actually trying to take advantage of carriers. But then it's like this small percentage of what's actually impacting my business right now is that there's brokers out there who are taking advantage of carriers. Can I blame it on the Fed raising interest rates? Sure, but can I do anything to control that? No, and I couldn't do anything to control that before. I made decisions based on an assumption that it wouldn't be this bad. And guess what? It is, and quicker than I thought. And it's going to get worse, I think.
Control the
So
controllables. The
yeah,
stuff you can't control, you have to learn to accept. As a business owner, you have to learn to accept how to control the uncontrollables, control the controllables, and try and work within the median of both those. And that's that's the secret ingredient. You know what I mean? Can you work in the middle of both of the things? And I don't think anybody saw fuel going up as much as it did.
yep,
There's lots of things.
totally. And that's there's always going to be lots of things. Like maybe every once in a while you might get lucky. You might create Facebook and whatever. But like the majority of people, you're not going to hit a home run every time. And like you aimed for doubles. Like I don't know, you like baseball, right? You played baseball
Yeah,
when you were a kid. Yeah.
yeah,
So like it's like if you're trying to swing for the fences every single time, like, and this is true in most uh home
so
run hitters have low batting averages. Like Joey Gallo has like one of the lowest batting averages in the league every year, but he hits like 40 dingers, and everyone forgets that he bats like 205 because he hits 40 dingers and knocks in 100 runs.
100 runs.
Fine. Um, but then there's guys that just hit doubles, man. And like you don't want to aim to be the guy that tries to bunt to get on base every time, because that's like low percentage too, but you're like just sacrificing yourself for no reason. But singles and doubles, that's like all day, man. And I feel like you set yourself up to like you like had an avenue to be like, okay, this is consistent, like doubles right here. Like I'm going to bat 400 and I'm going to knock in however many runs that knocks in, and I'm going to score however many runs that scores. Like you're going to be like one of the best players of all time if you can just hit doubles more often than you get out. And
Well, you
yeah,
brought up a sacrifice bunt. I did this analogy in a video a long time ago. Um, I take sacrifice bunts, and what I mean by that is I think you just shared taking a load from Pennsylvania to where you are. Sometimes, like I would consider that like a single. But like if we're talking baseball right now, I think
yeah,
what you just did set you up for a single. By the time you hit Wisconsin, that single you hit has scored. And now you've made it to Wisconsin where your single, the fourth guy up now is probably going to hit a triple. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and that people, I saw one of your comments about teaching people and understanding lanes and don't take low rates in lanes. Like, the truth of the matter, this is the God's honest truth. People don't want to hear this. People think that you're doing it wrong. You're hauling cheap freight and all. They'll throw every negative thing that they can at you.
yeah,
And they're the ones that are wrong. Like,
yeah,
and I don't mean to be rude, but it's facts, it's truth. You should structure yourself to that. Baseball analogy is a great baseball. I mean, that's a great analogy because it's the truth.
yeah,
Baseball players don't go up every time to hit home runs. They go up to get on base.
yeah.
Like
And
Tom.
and honestly, like to kind of tie that back to what we were saying about um like not making excuses. Like if you're swinging for the fence and you don't set yourself up, you know, to or let's say you didn't hit any batting practice, and then you go out there and you just try and hit a single, but you never hit the batting cages. You're not even going to hit a single very well. You may get lucky every once in a while, but and so it all goes back to like controlling what you can control and working as hard as you can at the things that you can work hard at, so that like some people are, you know, 6'4", 260 like Aaron Judge, and some guys aren't. And so, maybe you just go with
It's
what
your
you
own
have.
strategy, man.
Yeah, what you
George being
have
one
you
of
need
the
to
best
work with.
players to play the game, and he was
Yeah.
what 5'10", if
Hmm.
that,
Yep. And
150
so
pounds.
I think you control what you can control, and you work your butt off at it, and you try to be uh try to set yourself up for success, but at the same time, like you can't like yeah, there's a measure of like ownership and accountability you have to put on yourself. And successful people, all successful people, work their butts off and take accountability for everything everything in their business, not just the things that they can control. Because if there's things outside of their control, they should have hedged around those things to begin with. Like that's like, and that's what we were getting into, what I was saying about, it's like I knew the freight market was going to come down. I knew fuel prices were going to go up. I didn't hedge well enough to accommodate for like that timing. And basically, I mean, I don't regret it because it was buying my family a home in Tennessee and moving them out there and getting them set up to go to school in the fall and all of that kind of stuff. That was really the timing. My wife and I talked about delaying buying a house for a year because I knew that something was going to happen. I figured it would be in the winter, but I knew that the housing market was going to come down, that the economy, like it was everything was laid out in front of us that said, "Hey, this isn't a good time to buy a house." But it was kind of like, you know what? We're gonna like, this is the summer that we plan to buy a house. We're just gonna buy a house. As long as we can afford the payment, we'll be able to make the payment. And it's not that much more. Like, we're gonna have to pay rent somewhere and live somewhere. So we might as well buy a house and be building equity, even if the market, even if it goes down 50% and it's worth half of what we owe. If we can make that monthly note, then it doesn't really matter. And eventually we'll be on the positive side of it over time. The housing market usually goes up 8 to 10%, and covers inflation at least. So, it's not yeah. So anyway, so I didn't do a great job of planning ahead, but at the same time, the things that I like, I it's like I controlled things to try to benefit my family rather than like benefit my business. And maybe that was maybe I should have calculated or weighted a little bit more in my calculations the business. But to me, the business is like, um, to me, the business is like is less important. Um, like I can make money in a lot of different ways, I guess is what I'm saying. So like if I
So
don't make money this way, I'll be fine. Like I have like there'll be another way for me to make a living. Like even if I go back to being a company driver, um, I can make it happen.
well, and I just think you hit on such a good topic real quick because I think I did it the opposite way. And I'm not saying like that I'm doing it. Yeah, you just said you structured things to be more about your family than the business for a time being. I I I sacrifice like I probably worked my business too much. Like if I'm being honest, and the downside with that is that's time I'm never gonna get back. Like my daughter's
Yeah.
already gone. You know,
Yep.
I missed her entire last year of competitive softball, and not knowing it was gonna be her last year.
Yeah.
And she made a decision to pursue what she's going to school for, which is very demanding, and chose to give up scholarships to play softball. And I've missed. I probably put more. Well, what's the word? More emphasis on my business when I should have maybe put a little bit more on my family. You know what I mean? And that's like such a crappy pie to eat right now. Just hearing you say that, like I don't like. That's part of looking in the mirror. I mean, I joked with you the other day. I made it home a day and a half early. What was I going to do? Turn the truck around and go get another load.
Yeah.
Like my mind didn't really stick with go see my family.
And, and I wasn't trying to make you feel bad
No, you
to
talked wisdom into me, bro.
but
Like,
at the same time I'm like I I'm pretty sure you want to stay home like a little longer.
yeah.
I think you do. It's just it's and especially if you knew that your first day was going to be like you just interrupting your family's plans, it makes probably made you question even more like I'm why am I even going to be there? you know?
Well, that's why I'm live right now. I
Yeah.
mean, they got their stuff that they're doing, and you know,
Yeah.
my time will come.
Now, what do you think about this? Mr. Coach said, one thing we need to remember, even if we are competitors, we still should teach each other how to fish. Don't tell me your contact, but you could teach me not to run for less than what the lane pays.
Well, I that's such a I mean this with respect, like a loaded question. Yo,
Mhm.
so Mr. Coach, and the reason I say that is lanes lanes don't have like an exact pay that they pay, right? They pay what the market is dictating that they pay at the time. I can operate a lane maybe differently than Nick over here. You know, for reason, just like, or he might be able to operate a lane better than me. No, like it's it's all in how things are structured for your business, and it
Yeah.
comes down to your cost of operating that lane. What is your cost, not what the lane's paying, not what the broker's paying. What is your cost as a business owner to operate that lane? And that takes in all things. How much you
Yeah.
want to make, how much it costs to actually drive, and wear and tear on the equipment. So it's so different, you know.
And that's where so I kind of stopped doing load by load freight pay on my channel, and not because I don't want to help guys out, um, but mainly because I think that um, I realized it wasn't that helpful, to be honest. Like, because if I heard what someone else was getting on a lane, let's say um, the carrier you work for, the amount he gets on a certain lane, I hear that number, and then I go to the broker and I say, hey, you got this load from this place to this place. I want this rate. I know, in my mind, I'm thinking, I know a carrier has just booked this rate because someone shared it with me, and now I have this juicy information. And then the broker says, no, it pays this. It pays 1100. And you're like, but I know someone who just got it for more than that. And so then you're like, well, no, I'm going to hold out and I'm going to try and get something better. Guess what? It's going to go to someone else. Someone else will haul it if they can make money at it. So that's basically, I stopped trying to compare myself to other carriers anyway, because it did me a disservice, because
Mhm.
I'm not other carriers and I haven't built the relationships that other carriers have built up. Some guys get called directly by brokers or by carrier reps, and they're like, "Hey, I got one of these loads that you've hauled before and I know we've already done it for, X amount of dollars. If we can do it, if I can just book it now without it even having to worry about it, I'm going to give it to you and let's just do it." And then so they get that rate. Now the 15-day average may be $1,000 and they get it for 15 because they've done it before. They trust them. They know that they know the lane, and they didn't even have to put it on the load board and go through taking calls on it and stuff. They made one phone call, they booked the load, and it was done. So then I come in and I'm thinking, oh well, I'm gonna tell this broker, I should be getting paid 1,500, and then they're gonna say, no man, pay us 1,000. We can go up to 11. Now if I could be profitable at 1100 and I decide to hold out for 1500, some other guy is going to come in and be like, "Well, I can be profitable at 1100," and he's going to book the load. Once it hits the spot market, it's blood in the water. The carriers are coming to get it, especially if it has a decent rate on it. If it has a profitable rate on it, like let's just say over 275 a mile in reefer, which it depending on the lane, but like almost any lane right now, if you see something that's like between 275 and 350 a mile on the load board on DAT, they're getting calls on it so fast and it's getting
Yeah.
scooped up, especially if it goes to like if I find something from Tennessee that pays $3 a mile going up to the Midwest, it's gone. Like it's scooped up, and then I'll see it back on the load board with some random brokerage, and you're like, oh, some brokerage scooped this up and they're double brokering it. Like I almost know that that's what's happening, but because they know guys are willing to take that load on that lane for like $2 a mile, and so the one broker is being cool and saying, hey, we're going to pay a fair amount and pay $3 a mile on this lane, even though we could get someone to do it for less. We want these guys, but then these other carriers come in and then they slide it over to their brokerage, and I see it happen so many times where I'm looking at a load and then it goes away, and then or I call and they say, oh, we just booked it, and then the same exact cities on the DAT pop up, right? The same exact cities, the same exact load information, minus a couple details, and that's why I wish DAT. I wish you had to put in load details, because
Yeah.
then it would be so much easier. Number one, to like filter out the ones that won't work for you. Like if it's a one pick 17 drop, I
Yeah.
it, it may end at my house, but I don't want to go to Washington State before I get there. Like I'm not I'm not trying to do that. So anyway, so I wish they would just like force them to put in information instead of leaving so much blank. But
But
anyway,
that
so yeah, so that's kind of my thing is I think that sharing like what's possible on like a weekly scale, running the lanes you run, that's what I've been doing lately. I think that that's helpful, but it doesn't get people stuck in like, I need to make this much on this lane, otherwise I'm going to be making less than what so and so's making, because they're not you, and I'm
right.
not, you know, you're not them.
Well, and we're teaching you how to fish right now. Like without being like what everything Nick just said, everything that I've said is like teaching you how to fish. I think the best advice, once again, from like DIY semi cash is king, that I got was run a couple of lanes and stay on them for extended periods of time. Learn the highs and lows and learn if you can operate in that. Because there's so many people that operate at such different levels that me comparing myself to you or to the next carrier, there's so many tangibles that are in play that it's impossible to do that. It's impossible. And going in with that mindset that you want to learn a lane versus just chasing the dollar. Some people have to do that though. I mean, I get it, but it makes for a tough goal right now.
Yeah. Um, Here, yo soy Senor Coach. I'm gonna put that in the chat. No one else jump in right now. I just want to hear Mr. Coach come in if we can, and then maybe I'll open it up a little bit later on too for everybody, anybody, everybody. Um, yeah, because he said I would love to be on live to explain. So
Come on
there's the link right there. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just I think that I think that as I realized I wasn't helping as much as I thought I was, I guess, is what I was saying. What by sharing information. And maybe that's just because I'm sharing on a like a larger scale. The bigger my channel got, it was less like direct information I was giving to people. Because I'll be honest, if it's like one of my friends, I'm telling them what like, dude, I got this on this lane, from this broker, call this person, whatever. I would
I do
definitely
the same
be
thing.
like that. But on my channel at least, I stopped kind of broadcasting out because like I said, I don't think it was helping as much as I would think it would help, or I thought I was helping.
You've also put in the work. You've talked about direct customers. You've talked about brokers that have contacted you. Like you've put in that work, man. Like, and as a business, you shouldn't have to divulge that for
Yeah.
free because you've done the work.
Hello.
Hold on. What up?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right,
Good,
all
good.
right. Good evening, everybody. What's going on, Nick? What's going on, Faith?
Howdy.
All right. So I guess when to get right to it, when I when I said about teaching somebody how to fish, it's not so much hold me by my hand, and tell me the price of the lane or anything like that. It's more of when I started at a mega carrier, $1.30 with fuel surcharge was, I thought it was fantastic coming in out of school because all I kept on hearing people was, 40 cents, 42 cents. So now I'm a lease operator at a mega carrier, and I don't have to mention the name of the company, but $1.30 with fuel surcharge was, I thought when I was new, was fantastic. So now going through other companies, I went to another company where I learned how to negotiate, learned how to, run lanes and things like that. So I took the proper steps. Don't get me wrong. But when I did that, I remember when I went to that company that I was negotiating, I remember when I started getting loads for $1.70 and my finger was just clicking on it real so quick and taking those loads because I thought $1.70 I was gonna go rich because I was just working on $1.30. And thank God a couple of guys said to me, hey, 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 relax. You know, those $1.70, it's not where you want to be. You know,
Kamate.
exactly, exactly. Relax. And my wife, she did better than me because I started in 2018. In 19, she got her license and she came to work with me. I already had a year of bad habits, a year where $1.30 was good. So she comes in and we go to this company where we learn to negotiate and we hear the tricks and how to negotiate and things that. And the third, in some loads you let them go. You don't have to go after everything. And but my finger, because this was loads that you could just click on and I set them. And my fingers were so good at $1.70, $1.80 until this gentleman said to me, hey, look, let it go. If you see us sitting there, they're gonna call you and you're gonna negotiate those loads. And you're gonna get $4 a mile, $5 a mile. And it took me a while because even though I knew the numbers were so good, but it was just so tempting. It was just so tempting. So just like I was doing that, I could just imagine somebody starting brand new and goes to a mega carrier, buys their truck, goes on spot market, and they come from $1.30 to $1.70, and now they get just 10 cents more in the spot market, and they think that that's good. I'm not saying you know, teach me how to negotiate or anything like that, or even teach me, or show me your contacts. But it's more of, hey, how do you go about? It's something as simple as this. How do you go about knowing what it costs to move your truck? I didn't know those stuff, and a lot of the new people don't know that stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the new people don't know that stuff.
Can I
Hmm.
speak? Can I speak
Sure.
on that?
Yeah, yeah, of
Can I
course.
speak on that?
Yeah.
Once again, don't get mad at me.
No, 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 none of that.
What you just said about a lot of people don't know how much it costs them to run down the road is
Yeah.
the exact reason on why they shouldn't be a business owner right now. That is the exact reason.
Okay.
People that have taken the time,
Yeah.
hence like me, I spent 20 years as a company driver.
Right.
I had about 90, I would say 90%, not, I'll say 80%. I
Okay.
had 80% of understanding the costs of me doing business
Right.
before I actually started business. And
Okay.
then I leased on to a carrier that taught me the other 20% to
Okay.
get to the level that I'm at. So
Okay.
I agree on one hand of
Okay.
what you're saying.
Right.
The other thing I'm going to say is
Right.
you talked about you got a mega carrier and you became a lease operator through a mega
Right.
carrier.
Right.
Do you know how hard it is to talk to people that work for mega carriers that are lease operators to
Right.
try and convince them that they can do better if they leave that mega carrier? I've done it
Right.
multiple times and
Right.
it's very hard to convince them. So,
Right.
good for you for getting out of what
Right.
I deem a bad situation with a mega
Right.
carrier to where you are today.
Right.
Um, it's just I do believe in helping people. I do believe in teaching them like the things you
Mhm.
learned from people that told you, hey, don't
Mhm.
just hit the click and go. Like that
Right.
was great advice.
Right.
But
Right.
at some point, I think the market that we
Mhm.
experienced a couple of years ago allowed people to do stuff that
Right.
I think they I don't want to say that
You don't.
they
Look.
probably had
I
they had
feel
no
that you
business.
don't need to sugarcoat and you don't need to hold back because you're not offending me. And if anybody gets offended, I mean, there's so many people that are glass, right now that you can't, but
Put it
you
like
could.
this.
Mhm.
Would you start a tech company building computers today if you had no idea how to build a computer? Like, what would you take the risk in starting
Right.
a computer company without
Right.
knowing how to build a computer,
Um.
and then expect
Yeah. Right.
expect Apple to teach you
Right.
how to do it?
Um. Yeah, we could use that example, but at the same time, we know they're coming in. We know there are people coming in. We know there are people starting. Like I hear Nick talking about how maybe he should have not been an owner operator. Maybe he should have not open. Why not? You know the language. You know how to speak. You did it already because I opened my authority after you, Nick. And I remember just as we were getting ready to make our decision, it was almost like if you were a trailblazer. You had a little, you were cutting a little path for us right behind you. At the beginning, nobody was working with you. You were taking the loads that were there from the little, from the TQLs or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I heard nobody wanted to work for us, but look, people are working with him. Okay, they're not the best of loads. They're not, and then things started getting a little better for you.
Yeah.
And again, I think we started our authority and it became active July 20th of last year. And I remember the first couple of months was a struggle, but because I knew how to negotiate already, and I already, when I was talking to brokers, they couldn't believe that our authority was so new. They're like, "Oh, I can't give you that price." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You and I just agree on a price. Like, come on, you know that I know how to do this. And again, I'm only been doing this thing for 4 years. But before this, I'm 47 years old. Before this, I was an iron worker, and I got vested. I already have more than 20 years as an iron worker. So when I came into school, I didn't have 20 years to give more, to wait until I became a veteran as a trucker. I have an urgency that I have to do it now. And not everybody's doing what we were doing. Like I'm over here in my house listening to this show and listening to you. I look at, I might not participate in your shows, Frey, but I look at you, I look at DIY, I look at everybody, because from everybody you could learn a little bit,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. And eventually I would love to have my, my, have direct chippers and stuff like that. But there are other stuff that are now that I want. Like my wife was a driver, and she's still a driver because still active. But now she's doing back office, and our son now has been with me for a year. So I'm what I'm doing is doing it organically. And Paul, from DIY and Sage, all the people I've been talking to for almost a year, and I get the emails, but I'm taking my steps slowly. But again, there will be a ton of people that every day, oh, maybe not every day, but twice a week at the mega carriers and at these schools, every Monday, the CDL schools receive new students that come in and they don't want to be workers. They want to be entrepreneurs, whether we like it or not. And we could say, well, they didn't learn, so now, just like you said, they're your competitor. I want a competitor. I want Nick right next to me, and you, Frey, right next to me, competing for that low, but beating up and not down,
But
because we all know what it costs for us to move.
hold on.
Mhm.
We know what it costs for us to move. I have no idea what it costs for you to move. I have
Right,
no idea what it costs for Nick to
right,
move. I
right,
know what it costs for me to move.
right.
That's what I care about.
Yeah,
You know what I
I would
mean?
say
And
so. So what happened with me,
Hmm.
I noticed that like ramp up as I learned,
Hmm.
my earning potential went up, right? As I gained knowledge on the lanes, as I took a load for 1100, right? And I took it because I thought, hey, this will pay the bills. And then I saw it as a last minute load for like 1800, and I went, wow, I can get 1800 for this same, basically the same load, a similar broker, similar customers, different customers, but the same exact lane. So I
Hmm.
know it's the same brokerage, whatever. So I'm like,
Hmm.
I can get $700 more, and I started ramping up, and that was
Hmm.
during 2020, or 21,
21, 21.
21. So that was during 21. Well, then like stuff changed,
Hmm.
and when I was doing that too, I realized that week to week the freight volumes would shift, and I could some weeks I could hold out for a really high paying loads,
Hmm.
and some weeks I couldn't. And it basically took me bidding on a couple loads to find out whether this was going to be a high volume day or a low volume day, and if I was
Hmm.
going to be able to hold out for a higher rate, or if I wanted to keep my truck moving, then I just have to take something that was profitable and move on. And I learned that down in LA, because
Right.
LA, you can get something for 2100 going up to Northern California, or you can get something for 900 going up to Southern California, or going up to Northern California. And it's this huge variance.
Right.
And the fact is that I deadheaded home a couple times from
Mm.
Southern California on a Friday, looking for loads, holding out for like at least 1800, because that's what I know this lane
That's
pays
what you
this.
got accustomed to
And
make.
yeah, and then it's like,
Mm.
no, this pays 1300, nothing over. And I'm like, nothing over. And that was
Right.
the time where there was one time
Right.
where I booked it for like 1550, and
Right.
then they said, oh, actually no, the rate's wrong on the DAT load board. It's actually 1350.
Ah.
And I was like, you know what, man, you guys can shove it. And they're like, okay, good. Well, we just got it covered anyway. They hung up on me, and I was like, I'm going home. I'm
But
out of here.
you know what's funny? That me looking in from the outside, looking at your channel, and again, the vibe that I get from your channel, wonderful, wonderful, and I congratulate you for that. Um, Me looking at you and your situation from the outside, it's constructive criticism as because remember I'm following you, so I'm
Yeah.
seeing, okay, so he's doing this now, so other doors are opening, and then you start looking at other people, and you start hearing they start telling you, hone in an area, stop going, because at first I wanted to be all over the place, so I never became familiar with any area. I didn't know what comes out. When it got to a point, it's gotten to a point now that I know I could go to this bad area, but that bad area has one window, one day that if you get there that day, you're good.
Yep.
And
And
now,
I learned that, going up to Vegas and stuff,
uh,
like all of
uh,
that, I built
uh,
that over a
uh,
year. And then
uh,
I was like, peace out, California. I'm going to
yeah,
Tennessee.
yeah,
And I moved to Tennessee in June.
yeah.
And then,
But
well, and then
I think I still
you know,
think that was a good move. I think that's a phenomenal move. But
I
I
think so
think that,
too. But I
yeah,
missed out on
yeah,
all of that like learning that I did
right,
for that for and the West Coast is a different market
right,
because you can only go so many
right,
lanes out
right,
from there. And in Tennessee, I can go,
right,
you
right,
know, you can turn me around in a 360 and like
right.
do the thing like before you hit the piñata and you're all dizzy and then you
like
can just
like
run,
yeah,
and
like
there's
you
a freight
said,
market that direction.
yeah, like you said earlier, you got here and you thought that way. I got relationships over there that should work over here. And instead of saying, you know what, hey, okay, it didn't work, so let me roll my sleeve again and build relationship again. And I
And that's
thought
what
that
I've
you
been,
started going
yeah.
different places.
Well, so I had
Yeah,
to get of like
yeah.
a lay of the land. So it
Gotcha.
felt like it started feeling like I started over. Like
Hmm.
I was like, okay, do I want to go down and be the guy that runs from Tennessee
Right,
down to Florida, and then I
right,
pick up something in Georgia and come back up?
right,
And that's why let's see what. And
right,
basically, it was I would look at the load board and I'd be like, all right, here's a high paying load.
right.
That's a good rate per mile. I look at the market that's down there right now, and I see there's a possibility of maybe finding something to get out and
Yeah.
maybe go to another market and then come back home. So I
Hmm.
started just playing around with it, and as I was playing around with it, like I said, like some of the connections that I've been able to come across over time, the they just none of them are based in Tennessee. They're people that can get me back to Tennessee from other
Yeah.
places. So a lot of loads coming in, but not that many loads going out. And
Gotcha.
so basically each time I go to the load board when I'm at home is like, okay, how can I triangulate to a place where I can get loads that bring me back home? And
Gotcha.
that's where I've been working. But
Right.
that takes like there's not as many out and back opportunities. Like I really like running that Vegas run.
Hmm.
I'd run out to St. George, Utah, hit Vegas on the way back, and I was making like 5 grand a trip almost, and doing 2 trips a week,
Hmm.
most weeks, and I was pretty darn close to 5 grand a trip, and that just number one, those rates aren't there anymore, but number two, like there's not like I can't find that market right now where I go there and come right back
Right.
to the house. Um,
Right.
it doesn't pay going both
Uh,
ways. So
I,
I'm trying to figure out how to triangulate to get,
last year I got burned a couple of times because I will do my homework on the lane, find out what was going on, and boom, got on it, and I stay on it too long, like hoping that, and when it ends, it ends. And they all, and it was the awakening last year was this year actually, last year because it was, I call it last year spring. It was actually a farmer or the guys that work at the farm. It almost looked like a ghost town, and there was only a few guys there. And I'm like, "What's going on here? There's nobody here." He goes, "No, man. The majority of people already moved to Georgia. You know, there was only a few of us here now, just wrapping it up, and now we moved to Georgia." I said, "How does that work for you guys?" He goes, "Well, we go from here, from Florida, because we're based out of Florida. So
yeah.
we go from here to Georgia, to Georgia, and so on and so forth." Right now, they're in New Hampshire, and they started their
Yeah.
migration in
Yep.
April.
So that's
So
produce, man. That's how produce works. So you like
exactly.
it's the same thing in California. You got
Uh,
like the San Diego, and
uh,
then you go up to
Well,
like the Central Coast
uh,
area and
uh,
Salinas, and then you go from
uh,
Salinas, then
uh,
you have like stuff coming out of the Central
uh,
Valley, and then you wait until the winter time, and then you go
uh,
down to Yuma and you get the
uh,
stuff down in Yuma. So it's a whole like it's a
so
whole like rotation that it goes through every year.
as as a reefer hauler,
uh, uh,
it's very important to
uh,
understand what you
uh,
guys just talked about, like the
uh,
ebbs and flows of the lanes. Some lanes are
uh,
seasonal lanes. And
right,
that's why I said earlier, like it's
right,
important to run lanes, like
right,
understand them because the lanes can be very profitable. And
right,
you just have to learn the ebbs and flows of those lanes and when to go, when not to go, or when to, instead of doing a straight out and back, do a
Right.
triangle. You know what I mean? And
Right.
obviously, I think we all try and teach that to people, but
Right. Like I said, I'm not saying to hold people by the hand, but we cannot have that attitude that, oh, well, you should have done this, because guess what? The door did not close after you came in into trucking. It's still more people coming in. Every Monday, every school in United States get new students. Every Monday.
but
Every Monday.
so once again, I'm
Right.
gonna sound
Mhm.
like the a-hole on this
Right.
channel.
No,
Nick,
no,
if you
no.
need to
No,
kick
no, it's
me
all
off
right.
the show,
It's
like
all right.
by all means do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Coach, you were a coach of baseball. I,
Baseball.
I played
Right.
hockey, right?
Right.
Um, the fact of life is people get cut.
Right.
The fact of life is you're not as talented as the next person behind you or in
Correct.
front of you, which
Correct.
means you move on. You do something different. You
Correct.
you that's no different
But
in
but
what we're
but
doing right now.
but on your teams, unless you had a phenomenal travel ball team and you had a bunch of ringers, you maybe had one ringer, and then there were a bunch of team players that made that team great.
But they
You
know how to
understand?
play.
They knew how, okay, well, not all of them. Not all of them come, and you know that not all of them come from the same, from the same area.
Yeah, I
Especially in
agree with that.
baseball. I was a baseball coach. The better kids, they were not better just because they were got gifted. They were better because some of their parents had more money to put them in a
But
clinic for
that's
a little extra something, and you know that. You
I
play you
agree
play
with that.
competitive,
Yep.
you know. So and now you may find a coach that say, you know what, I love that kid Nick, and I'm gonna, stay the extra mile next. But that coach can only do it maybe with one Nick at a time. He can't take the whole team. And again, maybe the coach in me, the baseball coach in me, has a mentality that we should at least, instead of criticizing somebody that wants to do it and wants to stay in this business, because I see one of your videos where you criticize somebody for criticizing coming into the business and criticizing the business, and I'm 100% in agreement with you. If you're not coming
I
in,
would never criticize somebody coming
right,
into the
right.
business.
No, no, no. But
Never.
you were saying somebody coming in the business, not giving it their all and learning it, and then have the audacity to leave the business within 2 months and criticizing the business when they
That's
didn't even
wrong.
do it right.
Yeah, that's
you
wrong.
know, so, but
Yeah, I
again,
think I think
mhm,
ultimately we're like
right,
we're all kind of saying the same thing, and I think
right,
that maybe you're personalizing it a little bit
right,
more.
right,
Like um, whereas I don't want to broadcast it on YouTube. I
right,
think that like in a private conversation, I would
right,
totally be helping people do like I
right,
mean, I've had a number of private conversations where I
right,
probably shared too much and where other people have probably
right,
shared too much with me, and
right,
more than maybe other people would want them to share with me.
right,
Uh, but we're friends, and so we're kind of just
right,
like comparing notes. It's almost
right,
like,
right, right,
hey, we're studying for the test. We're
right,
not on the same team, but we're at least we're helping each other out. And I think that
right, right,
when you have a personal relationship with someone, I think that that's how I go about it. And if you choose to do that from more of a platform and like with
right,
kind of more just putting it out there, I understand it, because I did that initially with the channel. I was
right,
always putting
right,
out like every load I did, I said the amount that I got on it so that people would
right.
know like, hey, this lane pays that. um but like I
But
like I was saying, I kind of
yeah,
got away from that because
right.
I realized that it wasn't actually as helpful as I thought it was, because I was missing
It
out on loads.
yeah, right.
So like the $4 and $5 a mile, how that guy told
Uh,
you that?
mhm,
Hey, you need to wait, and then they'll call you for the $4 and $5 a mile freight. Does
right,
that still happen right now? Because right now, if I sit on a load, it gets scooped up
right,
from underneath me when it hits
right,
$3 a mile. So
right.
it's a different
Well,
market we're
yeah,
in now.
definitely, you have to change. But again, if I come in with a bad habit, like for example, one example, like people love the applications with the click and go, right? Like people make fun of it, click and go. The worst thing that you could do as a carrier, as a carrier, is to get used to just clicking, because you lose the skill of calling people and talking to people. Even if you strike out 10 times, but at least you're still developing. Maybe I should have not started with that when I had that conversation. But you competing with an algorithm when you click.
Yeah.
An algorithm that knows that I'm only gonna go up $10,
Yep.
and I'm gonna wait for him, and somebody's gonna get desperate. But if you're calling and calling and calling and calling, I'm not saying every once in a while you might hit a single with one load that you look at that Uber load or whatever load, JV Hunt, whatever it is, and you do the math and you're like, and it was somebody that maybe dropped and it just fell on your lap. It's 200 miles and it's paying $1,600. And it picks up the night at 10 and it delivers at 2 a.m. And it's right there, perfect.
Yeah.
But to rely on that all the time, I want to build relationships, and I want to be able to eventually, have, direct, chippers,
So,
direct clients.
so
And
you
the algorithm, the click and go in, I will never get that with the click and go.
Yeah.
so you two are carriers. I'm not.
Correct.
I'm leased
Correct.
on to a carrier. But what you're talking about,
Right.
you're able to do as well as a
Mhm.
leased on carrier. Like
Right.
like I can go out and work with the carrier and gain a customer base, because
Right.
I mean, I've shared with Nick,
Right.
90% of my freight is customer freight. I hardly use the spot market. I text, email, or get an email or text from customers asking me if I'm available. That's
Right.
how my work comes to me. And what you're saying, understanding and gaining value and having communications, whether it's even with brokers, that's
Right.
that's an important skill to learn. The problem that I see is people don't want to learn that skill. They don't want to put
Right.
in with what both feet. Oh, you put the comment up.
Right.
They
Right.
don't want to learn. They want it to be easy
For
because
me, and this is not going after anybody. This is me. I mean, just think about it. Like, it's common sense. The more you click, let's say, for example, remember, Nick, when you first started YouTube, maybe because you grew up in church and you had to get up on the podium and talk. It was easy for you. But if you go back to my first video, I'm bald headed. And my daughter was making fun of me because I kept on rolling the hair here and I had no hair. My daughter, on my first video, and I kept on going like this as if I had hair. And you look at my first videos and you look at myself now, how for me, this is just a regular conversation. It just happened to be broadcasted on YouTube. And Freya, I don't know how it was for you when you first started making your first videos, but the more you did
horrible.
it, the more you've done it, the more comfortable you get. So it's the same thing with talking with. For me, it's a habit for me 100% of the time at the chipper and the receiver to find out somebody that I could ask if they work direct with carriers or not. I just make it a habit. I don't care. It's almost like just like pulling the brakes. I go in there, give my paperwork, and hey, who could I talk to? And they might tell me, well, this is such and such. It's okay. One day I'm gonna hit.
Yep.
One day I'm gonna hit. So
Though,
so
that there's a lot of people that don't want to, that aren't doing that work. Like what you're saying is what trucking is.
right,
What you're saying, if you have your own
right,
authority, is
right,
what you should be doing.
right,
There's lots of people that don't want to do it. You know
right,
what I mean? And it's not that we're not willing to teach them or help
right,
them. They just don't want to do it.
right.
They
Well, if they don't want to do it, there's nothing you could do. But I know they're like for me, for my community, and I say community, the Hispanic community, it's not even misinformed. It's the lack of information. Like it's not even somebody telling them, hey, this is what a phone call looked like. It's as simple as this. I mean, when I first got my carrier, if I wasn't looking at Nick's, even though I went to the mega carrier and I went to a company where I learned how to negotiate, but I heard so many bad stories about spot markets and brokers. I thought these guys were man eater,
Mhm.
and I overheard Nick's conversation, even if it was something simple. Oh, but these are just regular people. I mean, they have a 9 to 5 just like you and I. As a matter of fact, you know, as I've learned, a lot of these people they just you're not even talking to the agent. You're talking to somebody that is in charge of just picking up the call for that load, and and until you start doing that call, so making that call, something as simple as, hey man, I'm calling on this load. Can I have a little more information on that load? What's the weight? When does it pick up? Is it open? Whatever. Even though it doesn't have to be about money, because Nick, you've seen our channel. I don't. It's not like I'm bragging. Hey, we did this low and that low. No, no, no. It's about, hey, it's doable. My
Yeah.
uncle did not know a lot of English, and he did it, and he did it on a flatbed. And you know what my uncle did when he went to the chippers? He'll get $100 out, folded, and the same guys that loaded it, he'll give them $100. Hey, I need you to tie that low for me and teach me how to tie that low. And started doing it like that, doing it like that. And guys, will have attitude because he didn't speak that much English. He'll walk out of his truck with 2 bottles of water. And he'll hand out one to the whomever was on the counter. Hey, here's a bottle of water. After that, you think that person is going to be nasty to him or whatever? Like, there are ways to,
Yep.
You're absolutely right.
it's an attitude, and again,
Can I ask you
mhm,
something? What's
sure.
your and you don't have to
Mhm,
share it, but what's your
mhm,
go-to line when you're on the phone with the broker? They have a
mhm.
load posted on a lane you're familiar with, but the load isn't paying as much as you'd like to make on that lane that it has paid in the past.
Right,
Maybe the freight volume's a little bit down, so they
right,
probably are going to be able to get that amount. If they
right,
let's just say it's like a $1,500 lane
right.
and they're posting it for like 11. What's your line? What's your go-to line that you tell them to
It,
say, like,
yeah,
to try and get more money out of them?
right. Even though a lot of the information is there already, I try to act like if I saw it somewhere else where they didn't put the information. I don't assume because they might put it in different places. So I
Gotcha.
called in, hey, I just want a little details on this load. Da 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 da. And then I see that they paying this much. Hey man, maybe I've never dealt with you before, but this is a father and son business. We run our business. It's me who you're gonna call. It's me. We got 3 phone numbers. We have one that stays centered. That one, the tracking goes on that one. And if I'm sleeping, you're not gonna wake me up because my son is gonna answer that one, and vice versa. So I go back to and I'm sorry to throw the drivers under the bus, but I'm gonna say, hey, this is not gonna be a disgruntled driver driving your load. This is me, a literally a mom and pop store, shop. My son and I. So I gotta go to that because that's
Yeah.
gotta be. And you could call me a gazillion times. I don't care. It don't bother me. You could track me if you want to. It don't bother me. You'll be surprised how many people get upset because broker called them about wanting to know where they're at. And my thinking is, and this is me just thinking, if I order a Nick's hat, right, Velox hat, and I decided to pay FedEx overnight because I want the hat tomorrow when I'm in the live with Nick tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna be looking out that window, looking for that FedEx truck. I want to get in the computer and look for tracking to see where that. So I got to put myself in the position of a customer. Customers like
And
to
it,
know where they're at.
and
It
imagine it
landed
was
already
a
at the. Mhm.
yeah, imagine it was $100,000 hat too. You'd be really interested
It-
in
it- you understand
whether
what I'm
where
saying?
it
So,
was.
so why get upset when I got a call from this guy one time and from Puerto Rico, and he didn't speak that much English, but I guess he just knew what questions to ask. What were the questions that he needed to ask. So I said a little something in Spanish. And he goes, oh my God, why are you making me waste my little English that I have, man? You could have talked to me in Spanish. So, hey, man, I don't know. I'm assuming that you speak English, so I'm talking to you. So we just started talking, and I said to him, let me ask you a question now that we're helping each other out. If you're tracking me And you know where I'm at because you keep sending me messages and I know you know where I'm at. Why do you guys keep calling? He goes, look, we are just a system outside the country and we get paid per call. We get paid per call. It could be just $1 per call. It could be $2 if we get extra information. We know we could see your track. But if I'm able to call and actually get an answer, I get paid for that. And sadly enough, I might work 10 hours and I might just make maybe, 70 calls in 10 hours. So all I made was $70 a day.
Yeah.
So I was like,
See,
oh,
the
I
only
didn't know
time I
that.
ever had an
Right,
issue with
right,
the check call was
right.
the guy I drove. They have tracking on. I drove
Mhm.
until 2:30 in the morning, and the guy called me at 5:30.
Ooh,
Uh, and I was
that,
on Mountain Time because I
right,
was in
right,
Utah. So he called me at
right,
5:30 Mountain Time,
right,
3 hours after I had shut down the truck. And
right.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure you're good for the delivery today at and it was like a noon appointment. And I'm
Mm,
like, hey, you know what, man?
right,
Yeah, but I I I I don't appreciate the call at this hour.
right,
I like I just shut down 3 hours ago. So and it
right,
was that was the only one. But yeah, normally I use that same line. So I'm glad.
right,
So I didn't know what other people used, but
right,
I use, hey, listen, I'm an owner operator.
right,
I'm gonna personally haul
right,
this load for you. And then I also use the tracking. Hey, I don't mind tracking. Uh,
Yep.
right,
I can do. If you need a check call every morning or every evening. I mean, I
So
usually don't haul across the country, so I don't end up with
right,
multiple day loads that often
right.
where they want check calls. But I just tell them anyway, like if you guys, whatever it is. But those are kind of my two go tos. I'm an owner
I,
operator. This is
I
my
even Nick,
business.
I even offered to take pictures of the truck. I say, hey, look, I could take a picture of my truck so you can see the condition of my truck, my
I did
trailer.
that once.
You know,
I
so
was all
you
proud
know,
of my truck. Oh, you want? Well,
yeah,
look at, and
yeah,
this is the truck
yeah,
that's going to be hauling
yeah,
it. You see that? Isn't
right,
it
right.
awesome?
so
Hey,
what's funny is I kind of use the same. I just bid on a contract, right? Like
mhm,
there's a contract that came available, and I put a bid in, and I'll find out. I should find out in the next day or two if I got the
okay,
contract. But anyways, I use the same line, like, hey, it's going to be me. I kind of gave a background. Hey, I've been in the
right,
industry 23 years, and all of a sudden
right,
she goes, you've been in the industry 23 years. How do you feel about tracking? And I said, listen, I go, tracking is what it is. I tracked my Velox hat that was shipped to me because I wanted it before I left the house. And Nick knows that's true. I tracked it because I wanted it before I left my house
right,
when I ordered it. And so
right,
I said, I get that's the industry now.
right,
So I don't mind doing it. The other thing I use, and this is
right,
throwing certain drivers under the bus. I
right,
always tell them I will show up to their customer in my work boots with clean jeans, no flip flops, no tank
right,
tops.
right,
And that sounds bad, but it's the truth of the industry. A lot of
right,
people, I
right.
try and show up professional everywhere I go, and that's weird to say for an OTR driver, but I do.
I
I try and show up professional.
it's a big people don't think it is, but it's a big deal. The third company that I went, to work with as a subcontractor because it was not W-2, it was Custom Critical, and Custom Critical is a lot of pharmaceuticals. So you literally a doctor that has a cancer research for 7, 10 years. He's the one placing his product on your truck. He's the one literally putting it, and he wants to see you tighten it. He wants to seal the door. They pay. This particular customer in Maryland, if you do not come in, if you do not come in with every logo that says FedEx on your truck, they will not load you. Because out of the window, when you come in to pick up whatever load it is, I'm not gonna say what load it is. When they look out the window, they want to see the FedEx logo. They want to see it in all four places, and they want to see a guy with the uniform and everything. And they send people away, but they pay a premium, a premium. You'd be surprised how many times people go outside and look at the truck that is holding their load. You know, maybe the day to day, if you maybe
I thought it was just
driving.
me
Yeah,
because I had the
yeah,
Peterbilt, you
yeah.
know.
No, I mean that's like an extra cachet,
Yeah.
but my truck has to be clean. I want the security guard when she comes in to check the temps and check the fuel tank. If she opens that door, wow, smells different in here. Wow, like I don't want it to be typical. It stinks, and you got to take pride in what you do. And again, maybe because I came in, into the business older and with an urgency to want to do it right and learn. Like last year, I reached out to DIY and I watch a lot of his videos, and I'm always watching the lives, him and Cash. And I started kind of connecting, but I kind of went away. And I regret not staying in touch because probably would have been able to talk to him just like I'm talking to you guys. But he put me in touch with Sage, and he put me in touch with Paul, and just having a few conversations with Paul and Sage at when I first started, and we because he also did Landstar, he did Custom Critical, so I guess he because we did the same things, he kind of like we hit it off, and he just started telling me about a little bit of the broker lingo, what brokers, because we need to there's nothing wrong with taking a class and learning, from the other side what they look for. Not to trying to find out if they're tricking you or anything like that, because that is bullshit. There ain't nobody tricking nobody. Trust me. Ain't nobody tricking nobody. And for you to get a load, as I'm talking to him, and again, we've been doing it now for what, for over a year and change. And I knock on doors and I knock on doors and I told people and I call people and and I haven't gotten one yet. I've gotten a couple of things, seasonal, but nothing solid. So, and it's not like what people think. It's
Yeah,
not like what people think.
and the spot market is tough in this type
Right,
of environment we're in now. Like,
right,
I think that's the best. It's the
right,
best kind of way to describe it. So when you have like a
mm,
extra large pizza,
right,
everyone can get a real narrow slice and still get a
right,
pretty big slice. But as soon
right,
as you shrink that pizza down,
mhm,
there's just less pizza to go around, and,
right,
and it's like everything contracted. All the
right,
like there's just less loads, and so there's just way less to go around, and that's why we're all feeling like it's the brokers that are keeping the money. But believe me, I've talked to a few brokers. I talked to Sage, and then I
right,
saw Sage actually on James Best channel, which they made up and
right,
we're friends again.
right,
And then but he was talking about, he actually went to his numbers and he said, I think he said, I don't remember if it was 16% or 18% is the
mhm,
number that he made. And he does more work than a typical freight broker because he's
yeah.
doing, permitting and all that stuff for all of his oversized stuff. So he might even keep like a higher percentage than
But there's a lot of
maybe a
there's a
typical
lot, yeah,
freight.
and there's a lot of legwork. And there's a lot of to me. I look at a
Can I ask
broker
a
almost.
question?
I yes, right,
All three of us bid on loads, right? All three of us
right.
contact brokers and get loads.
Mhm.
Why, like, when you take a load because it works for you, right?
Yeah.
Right, right.
Do you care what the broker makes on that load?
No, I don't.
Nope.
Neither do
I
I
don't
I.
care
don't.
at all.
I don't.
Like,
I don't.
I took a load based on what works for me.
Right,
Like,
Yeah. And that's what I was getting at is like
right,
the brokers aren't the bad guys in this whole
right,
situation. And the fact
right,
that we're not making as much money is a
right,
market dynamic and it's not really
right,
anything to do with them. But
right,
we can put our best foot forward, like, and that's what I
right,
wanted to come back to what you were saying,
right.
is by if they have 1,500 in the load and they
Mhm.
know that they can get someone to take it for 11, but
Right,
you come in and you say, hey, but can I get it for 13? Because, and then you give them like, I'm a one truck owner operator. I'll
mhm, mhm,
personally handle this load for you. I'll
mhm,
show up professionally dressed.
mhm.
You can send me the tracking or check calls anytime you'd like. This
Right,
this load will be handled professionally. Is that worth $200 to you? Now they're kind of in a position where they're like, you know what? I, yeah, it is kind of worth $200 to me because I have this load. They have this load probably on their desk right
right,
now where they're
right,
having to, track it, and they're having to call
Right.
people and they're not answering their phone because, I've heard so many crotchety truckers be like, "Oh, I don't answer the phone if they're calling outside of, 9 to 5 or something." And I'm like, well, okay then,
Right.
I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know
It-
what
uh,
to
right.
I'm
Right.
gonna bounce here. I'm gonna go hang out with the family now.
yep.
Super cool conversation. I would
Fred,
love to continue this another
uh,
day, like for real.
you got it, brother.
Super
You
cool
got it.
conversation.
Pleasure talking to you. Pleasure talking
Yep.
to
So
you. Pleasure being here. Yep.
I
everybody
Okay.
everybody have a good night. Okay.
All right. It,
Thanks for
good
coming
night.
on,
Good night.
Fate. Appreciate it.
It, what I was gonna say earlier, Nick, is that for me, I compare um, broker to almost being a real estate agent. I don't know if you have any relative that have done real estate. I did real estate as maybe like 25 years ago, and boy, did I have to knock a lot of doors
Hmm.
because I was a new agent, so nobody wanted to work with me. And
Yep.
in the office, there's a bunch of agents there, and there's a board, and your name is at the bottom of that board, and you waiting all day for that one phone call. Somebody might have gotten a house for $500,000. When it's your turn to take the call, it's just an apartment for $1,000.
Yep. Yeah.
And I decided to start going out there and knocking on people's door. And you was just literally, if you, Nick, were an agent in the same office as me, and you listed a house down the block, I took that listing and I went down that block and up the other block and everything. Hey, I'm such and such. My company just listed a house, da 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 da. In case anybody's interested in buying a house. And I would not. Who the fuck told you? Who have told you I want to sell my? No, no. I'm saying if anybody's interested in buying a house, not sell a house. Oh, okay. Some people will literally just clap, clap. What are you doing here? Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just a new agent, and I will
uh,
always leave a business card with a magnet thrown on the side. And believe it or not, like 3 or 4 months later, I started getting phone calls. Hey, aren't you that agent that came over here? Boom, 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 such and such. I would like to know the value of my house. Oh, sure. You said it was for free, right? Sure. And all of a sudden, I started listing. Now, it was super cool when my name was all over the place and all these different signs. But even if I sold one house, I had to wait like 45 days or 60 days for closing day. Like,
yep.
it's not as glamorous and it's not, it's
Yeah.
a lot of legwork,
Yep.
a lot of legwork. And and people think that, that these guys are just fooling everybody. This summer I experienced some carriers that, you know, not only they took the low for 20%, 25% of what the low was paying, but he also called the office to send more trucks to get all those loads because they were, oh, we're gonna kill it here. And they were literally getting paid. And one of the first things that says on the contract on the bottom, when you go to pick up your load, do not discuss the price. That was on that particular rate confirmation.
Yeah.
Do not discuss the load with, and this guy was bragging about it. So not only he got it for 25% of what the whole thing was.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was still, from Dallas to Arizona, it was still like $4 a mile.
Yeah.
But he literally took it for 25% of what everybody else was making.
Yeah.
And he was bragging about it. So not only he took it for less, but the broker found out that he was talking about how much he took it for, and they were done. No more loads for them.
Yeah.
So I guess I've been wanting to, because I reach out to you on Instagram and stuff. I know this is not the easiest time. It's not, but I'm pretty sure before you move, you have a big picture. You have a goal, and I'm pretty sure your dad, you explained that goal to your dad, what the goal was to move and everything,
Yeah.
So you gotta, if you focus on that big goal, everything that is going on right now is nothing but obstacles.
Yep.
and I got my daughter's in Penn State.
That's right. You told me
She's the
that.
youngest. She's the youngest one. The middle child has been in boarding school since he was 13 years old. So he decided he want to stay local. So I got two kids going to college, and so it's a little easier for me because I don't have Gus. I don't have a little one in the house.
Yeah.
They're pretty much my 22-year-old is here, but any moment he could say, you know what, peace, I'm out.
Yeah. And you
You
kind
know,
of want them to at this point. No.
you know what I mean? You know, but the point is that it's easier for me to say it, but all I
Yeah.
know is this: you and I that are not doctors, and we're not, this is what we're doing.
Yep.
We're gonna have to pay the price now, or we're gonna have to pay the price later.
Hmm.
Later meaning staying working till later age, yeah. And I hope
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I hope to God not that I don't, you know, that maybe within the industry because I love this industry. I love the maybe I could stay, moving on to being a broker or something else, or my 22-year-old is doing this and my wife is too. So we all learn in this business.
Yeah.
And our middle child's work, he's studying analytics, so because he likes this stuff too.
Yeah.
But all I can tell you is this: you're either gonna have to sacrifice now, some,
Hmm.
or you're gonna have to sacrifice later.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah.
I'm kind of a have my cake and eat it too kind of person. So I'm trying to
I said that earlier. I said that earlier. I said it, and my
so
wife was
I'm
like, "What you said?" No, I'm just talking to the TV because I just heard
yeah,
Nick's son say something.
because I want to have like I don't I need balance. So I
Gotcha.
want like there's certain sacrifices that I'm willing to make to
Right.
achieve my goals in business, but it
Hmm.
can't be at the detriment of my family and vice versa. I can't put my family, or
Hmm.
I shouldn't even say that. I shouldn't put spending time with my family above
Right.
providing for my family because then
Right.
we're going to end up, like you said, I'll end up
Right.
90 years old, still trying to shift a truck until my arms fall off and my teeth fall out. And, like
Right.
that I don't want to live like that either. So it's like, but they're, but
It's a
the
catch 22.
sacrifices,
It's
yeah,
a
like,
catch
like the
22.
sacrifices that we try to make
Right.
now,
Right.
like you said, if we're either going to pay for it now or later, but if we pay for it now, I guess I've seen a number of people who
Right.
say that and they work their butt off right
Hmm.
now and they basically at the end of everything they retire, they have their house paid for,
Hmm.
they all that stuff, and then they regret their life because they didn't get to spend the time with their family. That and so time with family
Right.
is like we have to marry those two things. Like they have
Right.
to work together. You
Right.
can't sacrifice it completely, but you also
Right.
can't elevate it too high to where
Right.
you're not any good and where you're not
Right.
achieving any goals. Like you got to have some drive in your life that drives you. But I
And
just want
then
to find that thing where I can work my butt off
the happy
without
medium.
sacrificing my family. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
Yeah, no,
that's
my mom came to this country when I was nine, what, 10, no, 9 years old. 9 years old, and my brother was 8. So, and we didn't see her until we got here at 19 years old.
that's
So,
crazy, bro.
so she literally missed the forming years per se, personally, because she was always on the phone
Yeah.
and but I got here in 1994 when I was 19 years old, and there's not one day in my life that I throw it in my mother's face or anything like that because I wouldn't be, and we wouldn't be where we're at today. And
I agree.
my mother, like I said, she came from a small town in a third world country, came over here since '84, worked her butt off, retired April 1st this year, and she's been an American citizen and everything, but she retired to the Dominican Republic this year, and she owns her house over there. She owns a house over here, and she lost those 10 years, but now she's free to make move. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and she
Yeah.
maybe she didn't have the options that we have, but
And that's what I would
right,
say is like, holy
right,
crap. Like,
right,
I bet if you ask her,
right,
she would give up, the houses if she could still, like, if she could still have a level of comfort that is good, but keep those
right.
10 years with her family. I almost
She she
guarantee you.
she wishes she was, she has she puts guilt trip on herself, not us.
See that? Yeah.
She
Yeah.
does, but
Mhm.
but I can even imagine what would have been if we would have been in a third world country, and if we
Yeah.
would have been there, all of us. Okay, maybe we were poor and we would have been super thrilled fishing out of the river and everything like that. But
Yeah. I guess that's it,
you know,
it's almost like the
yeah,
the number of options, right?
yeah,
So the number of
right,
options for her,
right, right,
and it was like for your sake too,
right,
because
right,
like she paved the way for you
right,
to follow in her footsteps and come here and have the
right.
life that you have now. So
I,
a
I
little
have to
bit
do
she,
it.
yeah, she sacrificed that home
Right,
time,
right,
but I guess that's what I'm saying is we
right,
don't have to make that sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like I know
right,
for me, like I've
right,
I've been blessed.
right,
I haven't taken advantage of all the opportunities I've had. Like I could
right.
have done a lot more things than I've done with my life. And it's taken me
Gotcha.
38 years to
Right,
be in the position where I'm like, hey, I have like this ability to speak okay. I speak pretty
right,
well. I can, get in front of people. I don't get nervous in front of people very often. I'm
right,
usually able
right.
to communicate my thoughts fairly
Mhm.
well. And so it's like, hey, if someone with my like background and ability
Right,
can can like I should be able to do any
right,
number of
right,
things and be
right,
successful, and I don't
right,
have to sacrifice my family in a truck, spending all my time
right,
in a truck to make a living,
right,
because I can do a lot of other things.
right,
Just this is like, I guess this was the easiest route, trucking,
right.
because that's what like my that's what I married into a trucking family. So it was like,
Gotcha.
okay, this is
Gotcha.
like the opportunity that's available to me that I can
Right.
provide for my family, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to do it. But I think in my mind, it was always a stepping stone. Now I definitely love it.
Right.
I've fallen
Right.
in love with it more than I ever thought I would. But
Right.
at the same time, it was always about the paycheck. It was always about how do I
Right.
provide for my family.
Right.
I don't do it for the love of the game. Like I
Right.
don't have diesel running through my veins like some of these
Right.
guys who grew up trucking. Like, more power to them, but that wasn't me, and I just don't. That's not how I like. Trucking is a career choice to me, and
Right.
so now that I've been able to do this, have this career and run this business, and
Right.
I kind of, it's almost like the stepping stone where like, okay, now I gained confidence. Like I understand now what I'm capable of because I've
Right.
done this, and I've set goals and I've accomplished them. And I've
Right.
set goals and I've accomplished them. And I've set goals
Right.
and I've accomplished them. So now I kind of have some momentum where I'm like, hey, I can set goals and accomplish them,
Right.
because early in my life, it seemed like anytime I'd set a goal, I'd end up failing and things wouldn't
Gotcha.
work out. And
Gotcha.
and so it seemed like anytime I wanted to, I didn't set a lot of like lofty goals for myself because I just thought, well, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? And so I shut myself down and kept myself from growing and being able to do the things that I know I'm capable of doing now. But like
Right.
10 years ago, I would have told you like, no, I
Wow.
can't start a YouTube channel. I don't want, I couldn't do a YouTube channel. No one would want to
Right.
watch me. Who would want to watch me? I
Right.
don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't have enough knowledge. I don't do this
Right.
well enough. I don't know how to edit videos. I don't know how
Right.
to take videos. All I have is my phone. Whatever. Like, fill in the blank of
Right.
all the reasons
Right.
why I wouldn't have started a YouTube channel. And then like part of that, like those like little setting little goals and then successes and little goals and successes was this YouTube channel. And so I was accomplishing goals in trucking, accomplishing goals with a YouTube channel, accomplishing goals
Right.
with buying the truck, accomplishing goal with starting my own authority. And all this stuff is like, it's like kind of
Right.
gaining momentum to where I'm like, I don't even need trucking anymore. Like, this was
Right.
good to like kind of get me going, but
Right.
um like the amount of time that I have to
Right.
sacrifice from my
Right.
family, like I don't
Right.
even need trucking. I could do a million things and make more money than I'm making in trucking and have family time. So to me, I'm like,
Gotcha.
okay, there's opportunity everywhere, and
Gotcha.
all I've
Mm,
all I've done is like gained experience and gained confidence through trucking. um, and it's kind of like if like the pretty girl at the bar that doesn't know she's pretty, right? And then it's like by the time she gets gets a couple guys talking to her, then she starts realizing, hey, wait, like I could have any guy in this bar, and then all of a sudden she realizes that she's got a little power in the situation. That's basically what I've been. I'm like, I kind of thought I was the
I
ugly
agree
duckling,
with that 100%. Because
and then over the
that's
course
why I
of
was saying
time,
what I was saying to you earlier. Because I'm like,
yeah,
I think you're a little hard on yourself. I think you don't give yourself enough credit for doing it, for doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you started it, and
yeah,
again, without saying much, just by being there. Like I feel bad now doing I don't want to do the 7 hour videos live. That's not what but I still want to teach. Like I still want to show people. I think I could, it's something, and it's something that I've done it. For me to afford to be in my little league, I had to be a coach since I was 12 years old.
yeah,
I had to be a coach during the week and a referee on Sundays for me to afford the league that I play baseball on.
yeah,
So it's in my nature to kind of like pass it forward or pass, and
yeah,
but you'd be surprised. A lot of times it's not, like for me, I'm invested in what you're doing because to me, I look at your authority like a couple of months ahead of me. You know what I mean? Like, like,
yeah,
and and when I see that, when I see, I see that just trucking is there, him and his family. Um, when you see, a lot of times you don't have to like participate or be, but just by watching and seeing, hey, that's possible. And there's nothing better than when you see somebody doing something that is a peer of yours, and you're like, if he did it, I could do it too. Just like you said, man, you have a thing to talk. Like you have. Not a lot of people could do it.
yeah.
Not a lot of people could do it. It's just like it's finding the right thing. But what's going on, Just? How you doing? We completely forgot about the shot.
They just stopped chatting for a while. They basically we didn't have any
Interaction with
comments
them.
for a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, all right, this isn't getting this. We're not getting part of this show right now. But yeah, Justin's in the house, and then my
Yeah.
mama showed up. Hey, mama,
Hello,
and
Mrs.
then
Miss Nick. My name is
Damon asked
Danny,
me,
by the way, Nick. Danny is my name.
Danny. I knew
Yeah.
that. I just forgot it. I sucked. I sucked at the name. I was like, yo soy Mr. Coach is here. I was like, crap. I didn't want to ask you in front of
Yeah,
everybody,
the
but
the
I'm glad
name
you
come
caught that.
from my baseball players because
Yeah,
actually when I moved from when I moved from New York, that was my last year coaching high school. So my kids, the group of kids that I coached travel ball and in high school, the majority of them went to college and some of them to the minor leagues. And for me to still want to teach them, I said, if I'm going to be doing trucking and I'm going to be away from home, you got no excuse to say that you're homesick. So let's start a channel. And then they like, hey, why don't we call it Trucking with Mr. Coach? And we started with Trucking with Mr. Coach, but then, have the Latin community, and the name was just too too American, and they didn't think I spoke Spanish. So I put in the Yo Soy Mr. Coach. But it comes from that. It comes from
yeah.
that. That's how the kids used to call me Mr. Coach, and they used to call my wife Miss Fifi.
I like it. I like it. So
Yep, yep, yep.
how many years did you coach?
I did from 2010 to 18. I was the assistant coach at a high school
That's cool.
and coach travel ball. I was an iron worker by trade,
Yeah.
a union iron worker in New York, and then a volunteer coach, um, during the week and in the springs,
Yeah.
cold springs, and
Yep.
and then travel ball in the summers. That's why I fell
Summer.
in love with Florida because we used to spend the month of June and July and some August and down here. Hey,
Yeah.
coach.
My son, my son played travel ball.
Okay,
So
okay.
we did basically year-round baseball from 9 years
Perfect
old on.
game, all of this
Yeah,
different.
we did.
Yeah.
He had he was always on like the all-star team, but he wasn't a great hitter. And so he was just like a steady player, really
Okay.
good, but never great. And but Little League, they force you to, the kids get one at bat and 6 outs or whatever it is,
Right.
in All Stars. Um and so anyway, so he was in for his one at bat, but it was like towards the end of the game. And honestly, one of the most, like, I don't know, joyful moments of my life was they were down by 1 run. There was a runner on, and it's the top of the 6th inning. Little League, they only play 6 innings. And so yeah, he hit his first home run ever in an all-star game against our, like, arch nemesis,
Ooh.
team that had beat us the previous year,
Right.
because they do 11-year-old all stars and they do 12-year-old all stars. So
Right.
they knocked us out the 11-year-old year, and then we were playing them again in the 12-year-old year, and he hit a go ahead home run in the top of the
Woo.
6th inning. And it was kind of like one of those things where, you know they normally try to get the guys their at bats earlier in the game so that they're not in crunch situations as, like, bench players, coming in. And
Yeah.
but it just didn't work out earlier in the game. Like, they weren't getting very many runners on base, and so so they went up. They were down 6-5, and then they ended up he hit the home run to put them
Oh
up seven
shoot.
six, and then they closed out the game and they won. And then anyway, so there was that game that's like, I will remember that forever. I freaked out because, honestly, I was like, oh gosh, he's gonna be so sad because, like, he wasn't a great hitter. And so I was like, man, they got a runner on first. Like, he should just have him sacrifice, get the runner in scoring position. We could have the tie run
And
on second base.
that's you, the father, saying that.
I was sitting there like, they should have him sack bunt, like, but they only had, I mean, they already had one out. And the batter after my son, like, wasn't an all-star. Like, I mean, they were all-stars, but he wasn't one of the best hitters either. So if they had one of the big hitters coming up behind him, they would have had him sacrifice immediately, put the runner in scoring position, and then put the game on the other guy's shoulders. But with, like, kind of two of the bench players coming up back to back, they're like, let's just let him swing away. And man, he crushed it. He smoked that ball. And
Woo.
I came running. I was out in right
Uh,
field. I came running around, yelling and
uh,
screaming. I jumped up in the dugout and gave him a double high five when he got into the dugout. And all the parents thought I was funny, but they were stoked. And then when he was 12, he was he was the starting pitcher. Because when you're little league on your, like, your regular, like, little city team or whatever,
right,
you
right,
got
right,
like
right.
you got like two guys that can pitch. And so he was like the
Yeah.
number one. Yeah, he was the number one pitcher. He was the ace. So he would just pitch every other game. And it was like his second game pitching, and he hadn't pitched very much his 11-year-old year at all. But his 12-year-old year, he was the ace. And so he goes up there, and he had a no hitter into the 6th inning. And he got the last batter he faced to ground out into a double play. And
Ooh.
this other kid, yeah, to close out the game with the no hitter. I think he walked like two guys in the whole game, so it was like almost a perfect game. And the shortstop, the shortstop, I mean, it's a ground ball straight to second base. All he has to do is field the ball, step on the bag, and make the throw. And he goes like this. He fields the ball, he steps on the bag, and then he just looks at the runner, and he watches the
Oh
runner
no.
slowly. And we're like, throw the ball, throw
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
and so anyway, so they had to put in a new pitcher because there's a pitch limit in Little League. So he had hit his 80 pitches, and he couldn't face another batter. So he missed a no hitter, a whole complete game no hitter by 1 out. And
Oof.
they actually put that shortstop in to close out the game. And I'm like, he just wanted to pitch. That's all it was. He knew he'd be going in
You
there if he.
sabotage. You
Yeah.
sabotage it.
But
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, those
Yeah.
memories, like, that's what Just Chugging said. Those memories
It's
are what we live
it's
for, and that's
it,
honestly, I'm reliving them right now, telling
yeah.
you about them. It's like,
And not only that, it's not what you live for. It's the only thing that you could take to the grave, right? Like your memories.
well,
Think
I
about
mean, it's like it's the things that
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that bring me the most joy as a father. I
Yeah.
guess that's what it is. It's like, it's
My,
sure, like, maybe it doesn't, maybe it won't be like
yeah.
it's not what I live for necessarily, but
Right.
at the same time, it
Right.
is it's the things that bring me the most joy in this
Right.
life are like when my
But
kids are able to
right.
do things and make,
Right.
they have accomplishments.
Our,
Um,
our older son, he started at 5 years old. He loved baseball right away. He used to have this, Blues Clues big bat, and me throwing
Blue's
wiffle
Clues.
ball, and you throw. He just so the middle one, he was more energetic. He was, everything everything that he did was just with energy. I'm like, yes, this kid is gonna be a shortstop. And when he would turn 5, we on the line of little league to register him. He goes, Dad, I don't think I want to play baseball. Baseball, I just if I'm not hitting, it's boring. I'd rather go to the swing. And then when Daniel's hitting, I come back and see him play. It broke my heart. 4 years later, at 9 years old, we're in a practice for his brother. He goes, Dad, I want to give it a try. I mean, mind you, this kid playing wiffle ball in the yard and them playing non-organized, he knew everything. I didn't know that. So he asked, hey, can I be in the camp with Daniel? So I put him in the camp. I come from work. He goes, Dad, I just fell in love. I said, what are you talking about? I'm in love with baseball, but I don't want any handout. I'm like, yeah, you kidding me? I got all these bats from your brother that I'm saying. He goes, nope, I don't want no handouts. I want my own bat, my own cleat. I went to Dick Sports and I came back with bags.
So funny.
And poor kid now was behind his, peers for years. So we go to Cooperstown, and that it's like home run heaven, Cooperstown. And
Yeah.
that's the last time that you play on a small field because from then on you go to the big field. So if you never hit a home run on the little field, it's going to take you to you're about 16, 17. And poor kid never hit a home run on his very last at bat. I asked him, I said, hey, man, hey, buddy. And I felt bad for him because I should have never said it that way. But I'm like, hey, man, this might be the last chance you got to hit a home run. So you go out there and just swing for the fences. I don't care, anything. And he hit a home run on his last at bat on the small field. And this kid was just running. I think he was flying on the bases. And the first thing he did when he stepped on home plate, instead of looking for me, he's looking for his brother. Where's Daniel? Where's Daniel? And, but he really, like he really dedicated himself to playing after that. And he started going to his they're 4 years apart, 3 years apart. So he started going to his older brother's practice and his practice. Kid you not, with his academic, and we lived in New York at that time, with his academics, and then with what he learned from baseball, he earned a scholarship in Georgia. We sent him to
Dang.
boarding school since he was in 8th grade. And this school was 60 grand a year. 60 grand a year. And he did 8th grade and high school. The only thing is that when he graduated this year. Unfortunately, he said, Dad, I'm going to dedicate myself to studies. I'm done.
Yeah.
And it was almost like he put a knife on my chest.
Did he have any opportunities to go play,
he,
college
he,
or
he, we had a couple of things cooking when he was younger. And then follow some bad advice. No, we got to go D1, D1, D1. And my thing was, you don't have to go D1. You can go to
yeah.
JUCO,
Yeah.
and you keep growing, keep learning. And he actually listened because the school that he got to go, it's a JUCO. But when he got there, he himself decided to just focus on baseball and on studies.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not even going to the tryout. I'm like, are you kidding me? You work your butt up for this all your life? He goes, no, I'm going to do analytics. I want to see if I can stay in baseball another way. Um, I got myself a scholarship to go to high school, out of prep school.
Yeah.
And, so not only he got one for him, but because he did so good, they invited his sister. You know, the
Yeah.
sister was good in academics. She also got it. So, but baseball or sports, not just baseball, sports for me, it's something that, bar none, I think that helps young people. You know, avoid being bullied in school, socialize,
Yep.
and for me, like, I mean, they were out of the house since Alex was out of the house since eighth grade, and my daughter's since freshman year. You know, so our daughter.
Yeah.
But you're gonna laugh at this, Nick. Yeah, and I think I told you, I might have told. I thought I was ready because they've been out of the house, right, in prep school. We always take July off, the whole month off. Came August, and she had to be by August 18th, she had to be in Penn State. I left August 1st. I took a low up north. I came right back, and I took 2 months off. I couldn't do it. I could. We drop her off on Friday, and I drove the truck. My older son and I drove the truck, and we got a low there, and we parked the truck at a supermarket near there. And I did not on purpose. I did not find a load, and I was just waiting for a phone call. Just tell me that you want to come back home with us. Here I am,
uh,
thinking that I was ready. You know, like she was out of the house for 4 years, and
yeah.
I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna graduate. She's gonna get married. And my older son goes to me, Dad, chill. She's just a freshman in college. She's not getting
Yeah.
married. That's 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road. But my mind went so.
Yep. It's
Oh my
crazy.
God. That's why I think that's why when I stopped doing videos on YouTube, it was it was about that. It was my
Yeah.
family, like all those thoughts just took precedent to everything else, and I stopped doing it. And it's happened to me a couple of times where I get momentum on YouTube and then I stop. I get momentum on YouTube and then I stop. But
Yeah.
hey, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. The one good thing I have about my subscribers, is that they're very loyal. They stay. Like I get views like every day. Like if I'm doing videos, I'm like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? And I haven't put anything new.
Yeah. 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 I know.
Yeah,
I
but
always I always trip out when I see a comment and it's on a video that was like a year old, and I'm like, what the
uh,
heck? Like, what, people are still watching that video? Like, I already forgot about
uh,
that one.
right. Because I started doing videos from the beginning, from studying, from
Yeah.
Roadmaster, and I actually did a pre-trip. Like one of my top views are the pre-trip videos
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because I did it from a point of view of a student, like not knowing, like not saying it perfect, being nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got
Exactly.
a bunch of people criticizing me. Oh, you said this wrong. You said that wrong. I said at the beginning of the video that I'm a rookie. You're like, I'm at the school. I'm learning. I'm just said it just so people lose the
Yeah.
fear to do it in public. Because to me, I think it's one of the greatest. It's a great tool to do when you're doing pre-trip as a student, is to have somebody record you. Because at least you could listen, because you could be talking really low. This is properly mounted and secured. And
Yeah.
if the guy that is doing the exam, and the examiner is not, it can't hear you, he ain't gonna
Yeah.
pass you. So at least if you record yourself, you could find out how low,
Yeah.
how
My
high or low you sound.
my friend has a funny story about that. So he's a white guy, but he went to an Indian trucking school, and so he did the whole thing and learned this whole pre-trip. And when he went to go take his test, um, he kind of was joking around with the instructor, or not the instructor, but the person that the whatever the DMV employee. And
Right,
then so okay, you need to start doing your pre-trip. He goes, okay, check the frame, and he started doing it all in an Indian accent. No cracks, no breaks, no welds, and the lady, she's just sitting there laughing the entire time because he's like, he's kind of he talks like he's from California, like even more than I
right,
do. Like he sounds
right, right.
Californian, but yeah. Then all of a sudden, when he got to his pre-trip, and it's funny because it's kind of the way they learn. Like they just memorize all the words because a lot of
Right.
them they don't even know exactly what the
You
words that
you
they're
literally
saying.
bottle it. You bottle it. You
Yeah,
just bottle
and
it
so
pretty much. Mm.
they basically he just learned the verb, like he just learned the wording, but it's just like, and so he was able to just recite it in an Indian accent. So yeah, but that he said he thinks he might have missed a bunch of stuff, and
Yeah.
that but that she was too busy laughing that she couldn't even realize that it
And
was
he probably
happening.
had a like a rhythm, and a system and a
Yeah.
rhythm as he was going through that. I think if she probably would have stopped it and say, "Hey, start again," he would have lost it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hey, I gotta get some sleep and
Hey,
start thinking about trucking tomorrow morning. But
I appreciate you having me on. Like I
yeah,
said, it was more to clear a little bit on that, and what I said about it's never a shot at anybody or anything like that. I think is
yeah,
there are some people out there that can express themselves, and you don't have to start from knowing 100%. Just like doing videos, just you don't have to
yeah,
be the best YouTuber or the best spokesperson. Just start talking, making videos, and so the same thing with the broker. With calling brokers and things like that, or even just asking questions. It doesn't have to be with brokers. It's people working at companies, and they don't get themselves to ask questions. Hey, am I getting paid attention? Am I getting paid this? Am I getting paid that? What am I getting paid? Like even, there's a YouTuber, I'm not gonna mention his name, that he used to do great videos on that. He went away from that. He used to call companies, man, and this guy had a line for everything, and he knew exactly how to get information. And I thought he would have blown big if he kept on doing that, because I think he was doing a service to the new people coming in. But
yeah,
he changed. He changed
yeah,
his tunes. But stay a positive channel. Like
yeah,
I said, I love your dynamic, your family dynamic. We're There's five of us, two boys and a girl, and my wife. We've been actually the 15th of October was our 23rd anniversary. So keep doing your thing. I'm rooting for you. Um, don't give up. Do not
yeah.
give up.
I don't get me wrong. If I sell my
Right,
truck,
right.
it's not a giving up situation. It's a
Got you.
there
I got you.
there's things in the works. I just don't
Right.
I actually don't know what is gonna, yeah, I don't want to say it because I don't know
It's
exactly
okay.
how it's all going to work out, but at the same time,
You don't
like
have to. You
there's,
don't have to. Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
be just yeah, for the 50 people who are left in here, um
Mm.
I may get out of trucking. That may
Gotcha.
happen, but it wouldn't
You,
be
you
a failure.
you know what's funny? That my wife, especially when we seen the video where you were, when your father passed away. I see you preaching, brother.
So I mean
You don't have to say anything, but again, I
so
see you preaching.
that could happen. That could happen for, at some point. I
Yeah.
That's
No,
actually not in the immediate plans, but
got you.
that's that's always. I mean, it's a passion and a calling on my
No,
life, and
no.
I'm open to whatever, whenever God calls on my name, calls my number, pulls me off the
Right.
bench, I'll be ready. But
There you go. There you
but
go.
yeah,
That's it, man.
that's definitely part
Either
of it.
way, I'm rooting for you, and if you're not doing your authority, hopefully you live vicariously through our authority, because
I
if we're still doing
I'll be watching
it.
everyone because I'll have
Uh,
so much more time on my hands.
there you go. There you go. There you go. No, thank
Anyway,
you. Thank you for the invite, and
no,
everybody.
yeah,
Good night. Blessings to everybody, and let's be
no, thanks for joining
united.
me. Yeah,
Let's
I
be
appreciate it.
united. All right, brother. Good
All
night.
right, see ya.
Good night, everybody.
All right, and that's where we're gonna wrap up. Thank you guys. Everybody who came in here, just trucking, Beast of Logan. Check out their channels, with both feet. Um, Check out Fate Trucking. He put his link to his channel up here in the comments section or in the live chat. Um, and anyone else I missed, I know there's lots of people who are in here who have channels. So thank you guys for being here. And this was a long one. I didn't know, I wasn't planning to go this long, but it was good. It was a good conversation. I didn't want to didn't want to cut off a good conversation. So, and then once we started talking about our kids like sports stories, that's yeah, I had to keep going. But anyway, appreciate you guys and love you guys. And shoot, the next video will be out in like 10 hours. So I hope you guys enjoy that. See ya.